That's fine.
My name is Ernie Whitaker. My pronouns are I, me, he, him, she, her, we, they, us. Sometimes I even use Shakespearean pronouns, which are thee, thou, thy, thyself, and ye. I'm transgender, non-binary, gender conforming, gender fluid, just to name a few. As you all know, the trans movement is the fastest growing movement out there, so I figured, why not get involved in the ground level and use it to my advantage? For instance, whenever I'm late to work, which happens a lot, I'm not gonna lie, I just self-identify as translate. Not translate like the language translate, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That's someone who's late but identifies as being on time. I thought of that one myself.
I'm not gonna lie, it is challenging having somebody like Ernie in the office, but due to diversity requirements, we have to have he, him, she, her, we, they.
Don't forget about us.
Sorry.
Okay.
And us.
I decided to start it with something a little bit lighter this time. Because
who are those?
is
Who are
so
those
good.
guys?
That's actually Valuetainment. One of the people working there, I guess they hired a comedian as part of their crew. And I thought
That guy was the comedian guy?
Yeah.
That guy was the comedian?
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm in the wrong business. I'm in the wrong. Dude, I mean, come on. I mean, what's that guy's?
I thought it was pretty funny.
Where did he go? The Greg Gutfeld School of Comedy in Anaheim, California?
I don't know. But
there's only one guy unfunnier than that guy, and that's Greg Gutfeld.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know who that guy is. But is that the guy who works with Patrick Bet David?
Yes, that's Valuetainment. Patrick.
Okay, let me tell you that is the sketchiest bunch of cats I've ever seen in one room. I don't know if they're all from Syria or Iran and they've come here. I don't know what their thing is, but my antenna just goes off when I see all those guys in one room. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what their profession is or what they're doing, but it's just my own meter that goes off.
I don't know. People are griping about my volume again. All right, guys, I'm trying to pump it up. I don't know what to do here. All right, well.
Look, can they hear me? More importantly, can they hear
of course they can hear you, Mark.
Okay, no, I don't know if they can, Hunley. What do I know? Well, no, I got a new microphone. I'm trying to just test it out.
I know, because otherwise we'll hear endlessly about the phone. And we get it, folks. We're doing all that we can.
I'm not on the phone. I'm in a bunker in the mountains in a protected environment underground. It's about 16,000 feet below sea level is what they told me. I don't know if they can have transmission down here, but there's wires, all kinds of wires that allow this to happen.
All right.
This is the stove that I have to use to incinerate my documents. They tell me it's like a burn stove. If they come through the doors, the multiple doors that lead into the submerged cabin, I'm supposed to burn the ducts in that machine back there.
Well, I thought you were hiding out from Hurricane Hillary.
Well, I did get a alert. I actually got an alert for hurricane. Didn't have the name on it, just said hurricane alert, which is insane because I've never seen one where I am that there would be that kind of an alert with flooding and whatever. But it says that in 2 days or tonight or tomorrow. I'm not really sure, but we do have life rafts and inflatable boats to try to survive the best we can in a post-apocalyptic world.
I'm guessing that it must have started in the Atlantic because I don't believe the Pacific has hurricanes. That's what confused me. So it must have crossed Mexico and came over just to visit you.
How about the guy? How about this call? The guy, I saw the guy who was the emergency management director for Maui, and he blamed everything but himself. And I said to someone I was watching this with, I said, he's gone in 24 hours. And of course, 24 hours later, he resigned.
Did you see? Are you the emergency manager, the one who was formerly the head of investigations during the Vegas shooting?
No, this is a different guy. This is a Hawaiian guy who is in charge of their not 911, but their sirens and stuff, where he said, I usually only release the sirens when there's a tsunami and the people of the island are trained, which is why he didn't turn on the sirens for the fire, because he only does that for phony, false tsunami things, which he has done repeatedly in the past when there was no tsunami. But he said they were trained to listen. It was absurd. The whole thing was insane. And well, now he's gone, and he blamed health reasons.
We only do false alarms here, Mark. Only false alarms.
Is there anyone on the left who ever takes blame for anything? I mean, here's a guy completely a fraud, doesn't know what he's doing. It's a democratic island. Everyone's democratic on the goddamn island. And instead of just saying, which he clearly did, he killed hundreds of people by his incompetence. They're dead. They're not coming back. He said, it wasn't his fault, and resigned the next day for health reasons. Instead of saying, I'm resigning the next day because I'm incompetent, he blamed some undisclosed health reasons within 24 hours.
Of course, that's a tradition. That is a tradition. However, there is some breaking news that is going to ruin your life, it appears. You see, Elon Musk has determined that there will be no more blocking on Twitter.
This is one of the dark. I have very little joy in my life. There's nothing. I mean, the Dodgers, I don't care anymore. I have very little joy. One of the few joys, and Hunley knows this, is blocking people. It sounds sadistic. It's a meaningless thing. Who gives a crap who follows me? I'm nobody. But I enjoy blocking jerk-offs, just jerk-offs, or say jerk-off crap. Mostly like never Trumpers or who are lefty, whatever the hell they are. I don't care. He's now taking away the only joy that I have in life. Muting doesn't cut it, Hunley.
Okay, and I will give a view. Somebody said, why not mute? It's the same thing. I'm going to disagree because I've thought about it a little bit. Blocking actually tells the person. Well,
you're the one who told me muting. Right. Yeah, go. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm just saying blocking actually tells the person you've been blocked. So then they actually have the knowledge that they've been blocked. Whereas muting is kind of sketchy in a way, thinking about it, where they think that you see what they're talking about, but you don't see them at all. And it may even go further into illegalness, because if he's selling impressions for ads and ads are attached to your tweet, but they're muted, then you're not actually viewing it. So that could be fraudulent.
I don't know. I remember just having this discussion with you about a year ago, and you were urging me to mute people in the spirit of kindness. And I just said, no, I want them to know, Hunley. And you just said, no, it's not nice. You shouldn't do it. And now you've flipped. Now you've gone the other way. So I don't know what to make of it.
Okay, I've gone the other way in this regard. There's two reasons that I block, and there could be a third. The second one's recent. Number one, if you block me, I'll probably block you back, because I'm not going to let you block me and talk about me, but whatever. Number two, though, and this one's a special one, if you are using me to follow me, and every time I post about something, interact with all the people who interact with me and shit on something that I did or people that I know, then I'm going to block you, because all you're doing in this case is you're using me to get to other people who interact with me to trash me or my friends. You're going to be blocked.
It's a long-winded statement, but my favorite is Viva I don't block anyone Fry. That man, he wouldn't block Hitler, this guy. I asked him to block someone who was just thoroughly trashing me, saying all kinds of libelous things, and he goes, no, I don't block anybody unless it's really, really, really egregious. I said, David, this is really egregious. And he says, no, sorry. So I guess he's a victor of this entire South African debacle.
He might be. And I'm not going to say that I'm completely upset about the fact that you won't be able to block as many people. So not as many people will be crying to me about being blocked by you. So there is a silver lining. Oh yeah,
they kept going to Hunley. They kept going to Hunley in tears at the two parents, your father grounds you when you go to your mother to get money and get out for the grounding. So they were going to Hunley and crying. Hundreds of people.
Now I did drop the ball though on Tuesday, and I want to bring it up now. I really hate it when late in the show I'm closing out, and when I'm at different screens, I may not see super chats or things coming through. So I screenshotted, and these four people gave
Holy
us
cow.
super chats on Tuesday, and they did not get any acknowledgement whatsoever on Tuesday because I was on the other screen.
I'm going to do that last call thing again because it's we need the last call because this keeps happening. I'm going to do a last call, like we're a bar that's closing. Last call. And how many times? The bartender doesn't say last call one time. He says it over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, in New York, you can order 5 million drinks. At last call, they lock the door and you're allowed to sit there and drink your 5 million drinks at 4:00 in the morning in New York City, which I always appreciated. I don't know who came up with that rule, but that's the rule in New York.
No, it's
that
a
and
form of compromise.
the incredible. I don't know. I just want to get on with the show. You done with your intro now and all your stuff? The story I wanted to talk about was this RFK trip to the border. I don't know if we covered that last week or did we not?
You talked about it a little bit, and I know you've talked to me on the side.
I'm sorry for the audience. Sometimes I get confused because I talk to Eric all week, and we talk exactly the same as the show. So in case anybody's wondering if there's some other kind of personality, this is how we talk all week. So anyway, so RFK goes to the border and he makes a little mini documentary about 12 minutes long, whatever. And he starts getting the tour. And these are all the former or current, border people, officials that Trump had, the same people. And they're mostly Trump supporters, but they are the border guys. So they take him to the giant hole in the wall. And this guy says, this hole is here because we got a message the day after Biden was sworn in, the executive order to stop construction of the wall. Okay. There's a big gap in the wall. So they tell RFK Jr. that at night, buses show up driven by the drug cartels through the wall and they let people out. And he goes, what? So it's 2:00 in the morning. He shows up and 2 buses pull through the wall or at the wall, I guess. And 55 people on each side, each bus get out, 110 people, 55 and 55 total over the bus. And it's 110 Black Africans from Ghana who are military age, using the words of RFK Jr., and 18 to 25. And they get out, they go to see this woman who he interviews in the doc, who gives them a plane ticket to New York City. And I thought to myself, if I ever go to New York, I think I'm going to make that circle route, go down to La Jolla, then down to San Diego, cut across, come through, get the plane ticket, and fly from San Diego to New York. But that's another story. I may just do that for a documentary just to see if it's doable, like an undercover doc. But anyway, so the 110 Ghanaians somehow fly to Nicaragua through NGOs or whatever they're doing to get from Ghana to Nicaragua, take buses to the border with the drug cartels at the border, come across, given the Obama phone, the debit card, the dental kit, the food pack, the coupons to McDonald's, then a plane ticket to New York. And they have no ID, no nothing. Who the hell knows what's going on, right? So he says there's nobody there from Costa Rica. There's nobody there from Central America. There were 2 people from South America, one from Argentina, one from Brazil, one from Venezuela, or 2 from Venezuela, who were there actually for asylum. All of the 110 said they were there to get jobs and get work and take it away from Hunley's father, my father, whoever these people are who have these jobs currently. And they're now in New York and they're doing their thing in New York. Now you say, well, first of all, to credit RFK Jr., he came out with Tucker, and I'll get into the Tucker interview in a couple minutes. Did a 90-minute interview with Tucker the other night. But in that interview, he told the same story I just told you. And he said, I was one of these people who mocked Trump about the border wall. I'm not mocking anymore. I apologize for mocking Trump about the border wall. So it took a lot of manliness to do that. And I got to tip my hat for him to say that in the climate that he's in, that Trump was right. Okay, this is RFK Jr. So Trump was right also, according to RFK Jr., about the bad forest management in Northern California that we all know Trump highlighted, and even Newsom agreed at that point when they had the wildfires in Northern California, and it came up again in Maui. Apparently, the Democrats cannot manage the foliage that falls onto the forest ground either out of laziness or not using prison labor like they used to do in orange jumpsuits. Not really sure what the problem is. But this is why these wildfires are starting, because of the amount of trees down on the ground.
Sure.
Okay, we know
The
that
undergrowth.
already. And the undergrowth is, I'm not an expert in this area, but the undergrowth that's not taken care of apparently is being cited in Hawaii as well. Okay. So cut to the Upper West Side of Manhattan, where these Africans have now been put, 900 Africans, there's more there, but they took 900 and put them in hundreds of rooms in a hotel on the Upper West Side. And you go, well, that's kind of weird. Okay. Next door to that hotel is a luxury condominium. And one of the residents of the luxury condominium is Lady Gaga's father, who is a famous restaurateur in New York. Besides, separate from Lady Gaga, Italian dude, macho guy. He's been on Tucker a couple of times. He has a condo in this condo building, and he's flipping out. Why is he flipping out? Because the 900 Africans are not staying in their rooms. They're out in the street harassing women, drinking, carousing, stealing, doing what they're doing, since they're unskilled, they have no money, and they are now partying in the streets on the Upper West Side in the summer in Manhattan. And the weather to them feels like it's freezing out because it's, they're from Africa. So it's whatever. So he's now put together a vigilante group, Lady Gaga's father, to combat against the Africans in this new neo-colonial battle for the Upper West Side that Adams, the mayor, doesn't know what to do. I mean, you can't make this up. So Adams, the mayor, who used to be a cop but can't remember that he was a cop, ran against Curtis Sliwa, which is, it's kind of a mismatch. But
who was arrested this week for protesting the immigrants himself.
Oh, I didn't know that. Go get him, Curtis. This is the former founder and president of the Guardian Angels, just so people know at home.
Yes, he's down there fighting and protesting. He got arrested on Wednesday, I believe. And
okay, well, that's the battle.
He was locked up.
Okay, very good. So there's an island off the coast of the east side of Manhattan, the Upper East Side, called Randall's Island. Randall's Island has a lot of sports fields and stuff for the kids for the summer, schools and summer programs, a lot of fields, baseball, all manicured, all well maintained, soccer, football. And for decades and decades, the kids have, in summer programs in the start of school, whatever, used these fields. He has seized the island. I don't know how, under what auspices he seizes the island. I don't know. I guess it's part of New York City, so he can seize the island. And they're building these gigantic circus tents out there to put everyone underneath the circus tents, one of those wraparound tents, the ones that have the huge weddings in, Eric, the white tents. The Army uses them, I guess. And he's now going to ship these people to Randall's Island, where they will have like an immigrant island, which would be a great TV show, Getting Off Immigrant Island. Not to be confused with Rikers Island, which is adjacent a little bit south. This is going to be Immigrant Island, where on Randall's Island they will live for I don't know how long, until the winter comes, I guess, until they start freaking out.
No, it'll probably be just like what I had in Guantanamo Bay, which is literally tent cities. And
it's one
rows
big
and rows and rows. Okay, well, there they had rows and rows and rows of them to get hundreds.
They brought in FEMA subcontractor out of New Orleans that did Katrina, called Mama's Tents or something. I forget that. It's on the side of the tents. It's on the side of all the vehicles, and they're building like they're building the Empire State Building. This is heavy construction going on the island to house all these African immigrants. How they got the bat signal to come from Africa to California is one of the craziest immigration route stories of all time. This is not like going into Sicily from Northern Africa, fighting the Sicilians, the Moors versus the Sicilians, that old battle. That's not what's happening here. RFK said that he didn't see anybody from Central America and only 2 people from South America, in case anybody's confused. Because in the press conference that he has, he was questioned by all kinds of liberal reporters. And one of them said, what are you going to do to treat the central problem of the immigrants that are coming from these dictatorships in Central America and South America? And RFK, again, to his credit, said, I think you're looking at an old model. That's not going on any longer. And she was quite flummoxed, this woman, denouncing
Oh,
him
I'm sure.
for saying that. Yeah.
He's probably like, yeah, well, I haven't seen one yet, so I'll let you know.
But my favorite was the Haitian woman, the lesbian Haitian press secretary, who not only got Senator Mizroni's name wrong, the senator, what's her name, Mizroni, Herroni, Macaroni, the senator from Hawaii, got her name wrong. And look, I'm not the press secretary, so it doesn't matter. And got her gender wrong, and said that Biden had spoken to him. So not only was it a lie, she got her name wrong, gender wrong, and lied that the president had spoken to the senator from Hawaii.
Well, in fairness, I've seen how they staff the administration. They are very confused about genders, Mark. So I understand that they don't understand.
He kept having no comment all week. How could you not have a comment? I mean, how hard is it to say, my condolences go out to the dead in Hawaii and Maui? He couldn't even comment. Trump would have been down there throwing paper towels like footballs to the people who were, in the water or something, But he couldn't make a comment about it until they prepared a statement and just released it as a statement.
I want to say,
there is that it or?
No, I'm going to share this, but he made a comment a couple days ago, where I saw this one come up. That he might check. He had a comment about this.
I want to say one thing to your children. I know some really great ice cream places around here, and Daddy owes you. Okay? So talk to me afterwards.
Not creepy.
Is that? It's not creepy at all. Is that canned laughter, by the way, brought in by Seinfeld's crew? Because the fact that they're laughing as Rome burns to the ground is probably one of the most despicable things I've ever heard. This guy's making jokes while Maui's on fire and people are dying and swimming in the ocean because the 911 system and the infrastructure of the United States is completely collapsing. But this cunt of a president is making jokes about taking these kids to ice cream while he sniffs and molests them. This is really Rome burning kind of shit now, Hunley. This is Nero fiddling.
Okay, Tony R is confused. What are today's topics?
Who gives a shit, Tony? Tony, it's Freeform Friday. What don't you understand about Freeform Friday? You go, hey, you guys interrupt each other. Yeah, it's Freeform Friday. I didn't sign up for this. You guys are interrupting each other. What the hell's going on there? Jesus Christ, people. We don't have enough problems in the earth with you people complaining about Hunley's audio and that we interrupt each other in a bar conversation of a show. Jesus Christ.
Hey, other people are happy. This was a question that came in early, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she may be onto something here.
Yeah.
Lisa P. Is a lie too big to fail? RFK assassination, Kim Iverson had her on. Didn't find her convincing. Opinion? We don't disagree.
Let me tell you something. I don't disagree. I'm reading the book. The book came out a couple of years ago, I think 2018, 19, whatever. Book came out, and she's one, just like Roger Stone, she usurped everybody else's research. And I thought, well, that's not going to get it. How's she going to get this book deal done? She's just taking everybody chapter after chapter. She's taking all the research like Roger Stone does in the LBJ book. He just, takes everyone else's research and puts it together. It's like a Reader's Digest compilation of theories. She does the same thing. And I said, how does she get this book sold? There must be something that she comes up with. And somewhere into like the 18th chapter, she has multiple shooters standing on top of the steam table, opening fire into RFK. And I'm going, what did I just read? And I had her read it 5 times to understand what she was suggesting. And I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I just said, oh, for the love of God, this woman's nuts.
Well, good news.
She used to work with Jim. So I mean, maybe she's not that nuts, but she sounds crazy now.
Well, or she needed a paycheck, but good news. She has both of us blocked on Twitter. Oh, for now.
She has to mute us now. She has to too. We're gonna be muted on Twitter from now on. There is a bright silver lining to this thing, Hunley.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, she sounds batshit crazy, and I'll tell you something. I was reading. I was reading something. She had written about Arthur Bremer, and I stumbled across one of her articles. Totally coherent article until somewhere deep in the article, she starts getting into a second or third shooter in the Arthur Bremer Wallace shooting. And I'm going like second or third shooter. For the love of God, you couldn't fit anybody in there. She said there was. Let me tell you something, Hunley. She started saying there were police snipers on the rooftop, and I'm going, okay, there are police snipers on the rooftop. And she said the bullets couldn't be recovered, and she starts making the same case again. Instead of the case that should be made, which was, about Bremer being MK Ultra or whatever, and a Sirhan type assassin. But anyway, make a long story short, the book on RFKs, and the one that she wrote, Lie Too Big to Fail, she gets into Howard Hughes and Robert Mayu, and it's like her ballywick. That's her bally. It's the same people are involved in everything. The same. She links the same people to every single thing in the history of the Americans.
Okay, now you shared this story with me earlier. You wanted to talk about what's up here.
This is new. I don't know. That's why I figured I'd bring it to your attention. Billions of dollars being made by the Chinese running a marijuana drug operation out of Maine. And I don't know what's going on in Maine, but I remember being pulled over. There was a hurricane in Maine years ago, and I was visiting a friend of mine in Maine, Texas Goldberg, the late Texas Goldberg, had a pizzeria video place up there. One of the great guitar players of all time was Texas Goldberg on a Telecaster, played any type of music, Western swing. He played, Django. He played bebop on guitar. The guy was unbelievable. But anyways, he gets married. He moves to Maine, of all places. He was from New York. And he opens up a video parlor pizza place. And he's also doing stuff illegally with some kind of drugs or something. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I get to his house and there's a hurricane. So the hurricane's over and I go to leave because I'm going camping at Acadia National Park, a place that I recommended to you when you were up there. I don't know if you ever got to the Acadia National Park. It's one of the most beautiful national parks in the country. And I try to hit every single one I can. And that one time I hit the Acadia National Park. So I got all this camping equipment in my car. And had some huge boat of a car, like a Mercury Cougar. It was this big Merc. Anyway, I get pulled over by the state troopers. After the hurricane, there's trees down, the roads are closed, everything's a nightmare. It's an emergency. He has the time to circle around, pull me over with New York plates, and just say, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going camping." And they said, "You want license and registration?" I open the glove compartment, I take it out, and in the envelope is my cash from my vacation, which is, I don't know, 2 weeks. And there's just my money in there, right? And you could see it. It's like $100 bills, whatever. And it's in with my driver's license. It's in with my registration and insurance. In my glove compartment. He goes, "Where'd you get that money?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Where'd you get that money?" I said, the old-fashioned way. I said, "I work for it." And he says, "All right, smart aleck, huh? All right, get out of the car." So he takes me in the back and he starts telling me, no, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not crazy, which is, it's nothing escalated. And he says, "We got a drug problem up here." I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, it's growing season." I said, "Growing season in Maine?" And he says, I go, "For what?" He goes, "Marijuana." I said, "Up here?" He says, "Well, we also have a craggly, rocky coastline." I go, "What does that mean?" He says, "We have a smuggling problem." I go, "Incoming or outgoing?" I'm completely confused by this guy's analysis, and he's winging it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's trying to sound like he knows that he could, the drug business, and he doesn't. And you're talking to a guy who does. So I'm like going, "Really, bro? This is like really fascinating." I go, "They're smuggling drugs into Maine, or they're exporting drugs out of Maine. You're growing weed up here in this climate." I mean, this whole thing's baffling. Anyway, gets to my trunk. And he opens the trunk and he says, "You mind if I search your trunk?" And I open it up, just stuffed to the gills with camping equipment. I go, "Knock yourself out, bro." He sticks one hand in, realizes it's completely, ridiculous, and gives up. And he says, "All right, I'm going to let you go this time." I go, "What do you mean this time? I didn't do anything." In other words, there was nothing cited. It wasn't speeding. It wasn't a taillight. It was like a post-hurricane environment. And I'm just going like this. It's unbelievable. So anyway, I drove off. But to get back to the Chinese growing stuff, then they're now making billions in this article in some sort of marijuana empire that they've got going up in Maine, the Communist Chinese Party.
I could totally see that. Well, Maine has it totally legal, recreational and medicinal. So
maybe that's it. Maybe it's all coming.
Get a black market in there. It'd be pretty easy to.
Well, it might be the white market. They may be the people behind the owners of the legitimate businesses. I'm going to have to do some more research. Story just broke today, so I want to just put that up there today because that's a weird story.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. By the way, good news. We have an ad.
Okay, go on. What do we got?
We have a sponsor
for weed.
No, it's not about weed, but it is about protecting us
from weed. From weed.
Not from weed, but protecting our finances.
Let me get my X-ray specs. I want to check this story out. What do you got, Hunley?
Good idea. Ever searched your name online and found your personal details exposed on public sites? That's the work of data brokers who profit by selling your info to robocallers and spammers. Enter our sponsor today, Aura. Aura identifies and confronts these brokers, submitting opt-out requests for you. By law, they must comply, but they often complicate the process. Aura simplifies this for you. With services like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, and identity theft insurance, Aura's got you covered. I used Aura and it found my info on 25 data brokers. It alerted me to 50 plus sites that had compromised my information, and it also monitored my bank for large transactions. I was a real surprise when I got alerts when I was transferring money around. Real lifesaver. This is an added layer of security that I can't do on my own. For peace of mind, try Aura for 2 weeks free at aura.com/unstructured and boost your online safety.
Whoa,
that really does happen.
I know. No, you told me that it's very effective. I'm going to try it for a couple of weeks and see.
Yeah, it freaks me out though, because I still keep getting the emails in. It's like, okay, another data breach. Okay, did I get that credential right? Okay, the credential's unique. I don't care about the site. It's fine. And every time I pay you, I get an alert. Every time my wife moves money around, I get an alert too. So
wow, that's even more helpful. Right?
Hey, it's little things, man, but it is. And just to tell everybody, supporting us with the sponsors, it really does help. The last 2 videos, Tuesday's video demonetized. Last Friday's video now demonetized. So God only knows this one may be demonetized. So everything helps. The super chats help. The supporting the sponsor helps. Everything. We're like at this dance of a war with YouTube, and it makes us crazy, but it does help a ton. So,
wow. Okay, well that helps. What doesn't help is seeing Kid Rock drinking Bud Light all of a sudden for reasons I have no idea. What the hell's going on with Kid Rock? Yeah, no, it's all over the news. I sent you. Well, I just saw it before the show that he's drinking Bud Light at a venue, and people like flipping out of all the beers in the world. He had to stumble into that beer barn and get Bud Light. Very strange.
So he went from machine gunning Bud Light to shotgunning it?
He's shotgunning Bud Light. He was machine gunning it before. And I'm sure he's going to issue some statement that he was desperate and going through DTs or something that Kid Rock had to do.
I guess, but I hope he wasn't wearing a mask now.
Yeah, this is one of the stories I thought we might want to discuss, because I noticed around LA, I didn't know this was going on because I'm not in that world watching that media. But apparently I said to my girlfriend, I said, you seen a lot of masks lately? Like, what the hell's going on here? And in the supermarket, I started to see masks about a month ago. And today I saw this story, and they were talking about the fact that on liberal media and every single channel, they're saying they don't come out and say you have to wear a mask. It's more like, it wouldn't be unwise to think about possibly someday, tomorrow or in an hour, putting a mask back on.
It's mask season now, folks.
That's what the guy said. It's mask season now. And then they put up the bat signal, whoop, whoop, whoop. And next thing you know, they're all wearing masks. And in Hollywood, in LA, they will wear a mask in their car, double mask, put a mask on their dog. And I hadn't seen it in a year and a half. And all of a sudden it's starting to come back. And I'm going, what am I missing here? That's the story that explains what's missing. That they are gearing up for the 2024 election and flexing their muscles, their mask muscles, to see what they can get away with. And I think this is a balloon, a test balloon, to see, a trial balloon, to see what is tolerant and what is tolerable so far among the hoi polloi. And I know the hoi polloi are the unwashed masses, which is what I'm referring to, I think.
I've grown to appreciate masks lately, and not for the reason
Really?
people think. Yeah, because when I go around and I see somebody in a mask, I go, "Oh, I know what you're about. Okay, thank you."
Oh no, absolutely true.
Thank you for not hiding your identity. It's like you're putting your freak flag on. I know who you are. Good, noted. I can move on with my life. I know you're a weirdo. Thank you.
Well, a lot of the protests against critical race theory and trans stuff in the schools, has especially in North Hollywood, LA, have come out of the Armenian community in Glendale. So now when I see an Armenian, I tip my hat. I had no idea they were with us on this issue. And it's like a red area there. There's a couple of red areas in Hollywood. One is in Beverly Hills that went for Trump, and the other one is Glendale, which is Armenian, that went for Trump. So these violent protests that are broken out at the schools are the Armenian Americans attempting to, like in Virginia, to grab control back of the school board, and they are in battles physically in front of these schools at night for nightly protests, to where the local media says a protest is occurring in front of a school regarding an issue. Think about that sentence, because that's how they're reporting this. They're saying a protest in front of a school is about an issue, and they will not go into who's doing it or what it's about. That's the non-news from the left when they have to cover an incident without getting into the weeds. And I noticed this about 5 years ago in the national news. When there's an incident that's so big they have to cover it, that they merely state the incident in 3 seconds and move back to the editorial news, which is what they now do.
Ugh. Figures. Let me jump back into Super Chats for a second. Lynn Bleckstein, Mark, time to look at Huey Long. All the books out there are superficial.
It's been done so many forget about Huey Long already. How about Huey Lewis in the News? Isn't that more interesting? Huey Lewis in the News. Now that's a band that nobody's really explored. Okay. And how about the head of the Black Panther Party? The reason I mentioned the head of the Black Panther Party, Huey Newton, which is much more interesting, because Huey Newton deserves an America's Untold Story. He ends up living in a penthouse at the end of his life, selling crack cocaine, addicted to crack cocaine, and having people in manacles in his apartment. Isn't that more interesting than Huey Long? Let me ask the chat. Would you rather hear a story about Huey Newton, the head of the Black Panther Party, or Huey Long? You decide. But getting into the Black Panther Party, I just wanted to mention that Fannie Willis, that fat fuck from Georgia, who has single-handedly come up with RICO statutes that wouldn't even incarcerate John Gotti against Trump. Turns out that her father was not a member of the Democratic Party. He was not a member of the Republican Party. He was only a member of the Black Panther Party. You can't make this stuff up, folks. This is the daughter of a member of the Black Panther Party that is now going after the president of the United States. Okay?
I'm sorry,
Fanny's I'm very sorry, Willis. Well, we had Mickey Willis on a couple of weeks ago with pandemic. I don't know if he's related to Fannie Willis, but
unlikely.
It seems like they're all interchangeable. Like the one in New York, they all look the same. The one in Chicago, Fox. They're all these big fat Mrs. Butterworth black women who are descendants of the Black Panther Party. We've got this one here, the mayor in L.A. The mayor in LA, former member of the Black Panther Party. Okay, this didn't go away, folks, despite COINTELPRO, despite J. Edgar Hoover, despite dirty tricks by Segretti and the Nixon administration. They're still now they're in power through their children, their daughters, Tupac, whoever you wanted to say is a descendant of it. They are now running major cities in the United States. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, did you see what just went down? I think it was yesterday or the day before, that 2/3 of both houses in Georgia are demanding a full-blown investigation with the idea of removing her from being a DA And they went that route because there's two routes where you can actually challenge the case in Georgia, and that's either the governor can ask for it, and we know what Kemp's all about,
right.
Or you can get over 2/3. So they got over 2/3 of both houses saying we've got to investigate with the idea of removing her from office.
Wow, did not know that. See, my plan, and this sounds like a harebrained scheme, but I have a lot of harebrained schemes. My plan is for a red state attorney general to indict her or any of these people, fill in the blank, I don't care who they are, indict them, demand that they turn themselves in for the indictment, and then incarcerate them if they don't show up in manacles and drag them across state lines in an airlines or a truck or a van to face charges in the other state for election interference. And I don't care. Don't tell me it's illegal. Don't give me your crap. Sitting there on your fat ass and your armchair saying, well, you can't do that, bro. That's really nasty. Screw you. It's time to start fighting fire with fire. Get off their asses, and like whether it's Paxton or this guy from Missouri or somebody from Louisiana, indict these fat fucks and drag them into court in your state. Well, what about states' rights? Screw states' rights. We're going to not have any states if this election in 2024 is run by them. Something's got to give here. We got the thing they fear the most, which is what they're doing to the other side, is incarceration. That's what they fear the most. The January 6th people is what their dream is for all of their enemies, okay? That's why the January 6th prisoners are so symbolic, because that's what they want to do to you. It's time to start doing it to them, okay? I know it sounds really harsh. My heart bleeds for you that this sounds too harsh, but you have to start taking the gloves off. You have to begin fighting fire with fire. And these attorney generals, and look, you know, Gates can issue subpoenas all day long. They don't give a shit about subpoenas. They don't care about any of that crap. What they fear is incarceration. They have to begin to be incarcerated. And the incarceration should come from an indictment and them refusing to show up for the indictment. Let them lawyer up. Let them have a perp walk. Let them be in manacles. Let's start getting some of these fat fucks under the bright lights in a courtroom in another state and see how aggressive they are after that happens to them.
Yeah, and by the way, did you see the guy, the January 6th guy who was laying, who has a mat essentially, and I mean he's not even off the floor, just laying in his underwear, probably freezing his nuts off.
It just kills me. I can't even look at it. It's so disgusting. I can't believe this is the United States. It is so shocking to me to see that in this day and age, that nobody, not the ACLU, not the Amnesty International, not the FBI, not the people on the right, not the, American greatness, not anybody will break in there, storm the freaking Bastille and get this guy out. And, it's about time that people start banging on that door there. I know it's a lot to ask to leave your game room and to leave your theater, but you're watching your country crumble. This is what you're watching. And in the aftermath, in the rubble, you're going to say, I should have done something. Okay? That guy is a symbol. That's the guy you have to rally around. Whoever, I forget his name. I don't know.
I do too, but I mean, it is ironic the ACLU and all them did manage to crash their way into Guantanamo Bay.
That's right. That's right.
But somehow here.
Look how Greenpeace used to ram ships with their Greenpeace vessels. How they interceded physically on the high seas. Think about that. How what the balls it took for Greenpeace to do that.
Yeah, we're more concerned with people who are worried about drinking and dancing.
Boy, that is a crazy story. I mean, this story of Zelensky, and you know what? In the body of the story, I looked at it before. There's videos of them partying in Kiev every single night. I mean, I had no idea. I thought these places were a ghost town. They're going out like it's... Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the video? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I don't want the music will get it acclaimed. We already have enough problems, so we can just look and see.
Yeah, just show it.
How war-torn this is right here, and
Zelensky is now complaining, and rightfully so, that these people are partying while others are dying on the front lines in the Ukraine-Russian war. I mean, wow. Wait. Hold on. Hunley.
Mark approves of this.
Hunley, turn it off. Oh my God. What is wrong with you? Just turn it off. Jesus Christ, Hunley.
I wasn't playing anything. There was no music. It was silent.
There was music in back of it. There was tons of music in back of that.
Oh, I was muted. I didn't even hear it.
I heard it. It blew my head out. Anyway, make a long story short, what Zelensky's complaining about is they're drinking and dancing, which he wants to ban, which is kind of like, what was not Dirty Dancing? What was the other one that they did where there was no dancing with Kevin Bacon?
Footloose.
Footloose. It's like the Footloose War. So what Zelensky wants to do is ban that, which is kind of interesting. But the real subtext of the scandal is the fact that on a couple of occasions they've gone in there as Zelensky's men, locked the doors of the nightclubs, released the women, and then conscripted the men who were left behind in the nightclubs. How about that move? You go into one of these massive Studio 54s of Kiev and let the women leave, and now nobody can leave. You know, as they said was it Boy's Life? I forget which one it was. The directed the Robert De Niro directed film with Chaz Palminteri. We had the famous scene with the bikers. Now you can't leave. Anyway, so they now conscripted them by force. However, what Zelensky is really embarrassed about is that for $7,000 or $10,000 or $5,000, you could buy your way out of the draft like they did during the Civil War when the Irish were coming into New York, and other people were able to switch sides with them, and you can pay the guy to take your place in the Civil War. That was a thing, and it was apparently what's happening now in Ukraine is you could buy your way out of the draft.
Well, I mean, it's a corrupt criminal state. Why should anything change? Hey, Pamela says, hi, guys. Good to see you. Thank you, Pamela. Very generous.
That's Tony Clifton's wife, by the way, Pamela Clifton.
Thank you very much. Back to the bots conversation here. Jim Satala. I only block bots. They're easy to spot when you know what to look for. If they disagree with Mark, they're definitely bots.
That's funny.
Yeah, right.
That's funny. No, I mean, there's all kinds of people on. There's all kinds of people on there. I want my right to block. I think it's a civil right.
Mark, I suspect Nobel laureate Bob Dylan has made a personal vow to continue touring until he finally drops dead on the road somewhere. Can you ask about it next time you talk to him? Somehow I don't think you're talking to Bob.
Oh my God! Look, it's going to be a dark day. I mean, Robbie talked to Bob, but not recently. The Bob situation is going to be that he's going to die on the road. I mean, he wants to keep playing, and who could blame him?
Yeah, well, and Willie Nelson, right?
I don't know about Willie, but Robbie Robertson's passing last week. Robbie wasn't touring for many, many years. He was doing music scores for Marty Scorsese, and doing film music from his home or in the studio system. So I don't think he was touring. He made a couple of solo albums, Robbie, but no, Bob. Tony Garnier is an old friend of mine. The bass player is the band leader of the Dylan band, and Garnier used to be in a band called Sleep at the Wheel. I don't know if people remember that band out of Texas, Austin. To my Texas friends down there who love Asleep at the Wheel. Tony Garnier, one of the great bass players of all time, has been with Bob now, I think, over 20 years. So if anybody knows anything, it'll be Tony.
Well, you're right, though. There's going to be a lot of dark days. I mean, hell, Mick Jagger's 80.
There's something. It's just when Bob goes, it's going to be a lot of darkness, bro. People are not going to be happy about the death of Bob, and Mick's going to go, and people will not be that upset. I mean, he's got.
I just think there's so many of them aging.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But the Bob thing is going to be a cultural shift. That's going to be a big deal.
Well, he's the next Woody Guthrie in some ways, isn't he?
I don't know if he's the next Woody Guthrie, but we'll do a show on Bob.
Yeah. Isn't the border crisis a cover to use kids for traffic purposes?
I don't think. I mean, it's a side bill. It's a side business. The real money is in adult males paying X amount from point A to point B to point C to point D. That's the business. And I think it increases the closer you get to the border. And, there's different cartels that are cashing in the entire route, whether it's Ghana to New York and then New York to Mexico, or Ghana to Nicaragua, as they were telling RFK Jr. There's somebody in Ghana, who is a coyote or a person who helps you get out of Nicaragua to Nicaragua from Ghana, and then from Nicaragua to the next spot, to the next spot, to the next spot. It's money being made, but the reality of it is no nation on earth has open borders except the United States of America. It's just a fact. And the American people don't want it. Nobody wants it, and yet we still have it. It is what it is. I mean, at some point you have to say, do you run your own country or not? I mean, for one, my simple solutions are always ridiculously simple and stupid. Mine is to send the National Guard down to the borders of the various states and just stand there across the border as soldiers at a border. Like, I know it sounds crazy. That's what they do in other countries. They have soldiers at the border. I know it's nuts. And I don't like the way it looks, Mark. Go fuck yourself. Every country does it. I mean, I'm sorry. Take the National Guard and put them down there at the border of these states where there's gaps or whatever, and straight across as a line and checkpoints with the thing. Let me see your papers and blah, blah, blah. Not complicated. I mean, the wall is nice. I mean, everybody loves a nice wall, and I'm glad that he, built the wall and he tried to do something with the wall. But the real answer is military. The real answer is military. We have millions of troops, or I don't know about millions, but hundreds of thousands of troops in obscure countries. Bring them back and put them at the border. You could solve this thing in a week and a half, but they don't want to solve it. It's not even a problem to be solved. It is a policy of changing the look of America, changing the jobs of America. There's multiple facets to why it's open, but the physics of it are simply to bring back troops from around the world and put them at your own border. That's the answer to the entire equation, because the Border Patrol is overwhelmed. It's like taking, the parking police and putting them up against the mob. I mean, this is a mismatch. This is a mismatch. You can't have the meter maids versus the mafia. In my new book, The Meter Maids versus the Mafia, some things happen that are crazy. But in reality, this is a military solution to a military problem. And the military should be at the border. I don't care how long the border is. We have enough military to put them all across the border with military hardware. I'm not talking about guys standing there at parade rest. I'm talking about tanks with turrets pointing the other way. Just sitting there blocking with armored personnel. Yes, it's crazy. I know it's insane. Let them come to Berlin in 1960 and see how crazy it was then.
You probably don't need to do that. Just the presence.
No, Hunley's getting weak already. I can see Hunley's buckling on the. Look, I told them to use the Groubert security system, and now they're starting to begin that. They have to lock the doors to not let everybody out of Nordstrom's in Topanga in the mall, because hundreds of robbers are coming in stealing $300,000 worth of merchandise out of the mall in Topanga and the other mall that are both owned by Rick Caruso, the guy who ran for mayor against the current Black Panther mayor. And I think this is retribution. I have no evidence of this other than Rick Caruso owns both malls. No police, some lowly security guards tried to stop the 50 or 60 robbers who drove away in Mercedes and BMWs, by the way, in the parking garage. They didn't get validated because they didn't have time. But they had no license plates and phony dealer plates. That's how much thought they put into this thing, Eric. The getaway cars were brand new stolen cars that they owned or stole, rather. So they go in and they steal all this stuff and they drag everything out. And with the Groubert security system, it would have closed the doors, automatically hitting 911. The response time in LA is 6 minutes for LAPD. They would have been crazy running around with their hoods on and their masks within the store for 6 minutes until the doors open and LAPD could come in. Nobody wants to do it. Some stores in Australia, according to some of our followers in Australia, are doing this. Some stores in Northern California are starting to do this. it has to be done. Eventually it will be done.
But you have to have the part B. Here's the problem as I see it. Not only keep them in, but actually have the police come and then actually do this A word. It's called arrest.
Oh, right. Well, I can't
actually arrest and lock them up. But without the second part, that helps slow things down.
Well, the police can't control that, Eric. I mean, they're not in the judicial system; they're in the physics.
Exactly.
Business.
So we've got to fix that. When you have a DA that won't charge them, then I guess make it a hassle for them, because other than that, it doesn't seem like it's.
Well, the answer in New York, by the way, the answer in New York is so crazy. They're citing them for trespassing and giving them trespassing tickets. Okay, that's their response in New York for the same problem. They're saying they're listing them as trespassers. Okay, again, this is some crazy bureaucratic answer to a crazy bureaucratic situation. So I don't know. My answer, the locked door policy, the Groubert security system, I don't know. I just like that. You can't get out. And it comes back from Chaz Palminteri, where he says, now yous can't leave, to the bikers, and they beat the living shit out of the bikers. One of the great movie scenes of all time, because he locks the door and they were rude and they were doing things to the bartender and everything else. But I would love to see that implemented and catch these guys red-handed.
When I was looking up some of the Brimmer stuff, I forgot who it was. Heinen, I think, was giving a lecture. And he talked about something. I was like, oh, this is really prescient. And he's saying, do you know how they capture giant game in India?
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he's comparing this to population, where this is a plan. And his point is this, that in India, to capture like that giant tiger or whatever, they get a bunch of the poorest, grungiest Indians, whatever, and they give them a bunch of noise-making things, to shatter and to scare, and they go out there to just make all kinds of holy hell and rackets. And the tiger gets freaked out, like, what the hell is going on here? And the tiger gets redirected and then led into a cage. And then boom, now that tiger is imprisoned. And the analogy stands here. You let people break into the shops, tear everything up, run into riots, wreak all kinds of havoc, and we go, please, government, please, we'll give you anything. We'll give you anything. Just save us.
Well, one guy said that there should be sleeping gas and lasers adding on to my defense strategy. I said, that's a bridge too far, bro. But he just kept hammering on the lasers. He's going, everybody loves lasers. Why not laser them?
Lasers are fun. It's like a party.
Lasers are fun. Lasers are fun. The nerve gas, though, that was a bridge too far. So he didn't say nerve gas. He said sleeping gas, whatever sleeping gas is.
Okay, well, yeah, sarin would be a bad thing.
Sarin gas would be bad. Yeah. Mustard gas is gonna be too difficult. But
no. Tear gas is the best.
How about the opening of the floor where they drop into like a pit down there with snakes and crocodiles? Dude, I mean, we could really have a good time with this whole thing if we just got imaginative. If the courts don't work, if jails are shut down, I think they're going to have to come up with sleeping gas, or the floor opens and they fall in right by the doors. When they bang against the door, that section opens and they drop into it could be a holding cell for all I care. It doesn't have to have crocodiles and snakes. It could be just a holding cell. They have a holding cell underneath Dodger Stadium where they take you if you're out of control. I saw them take a guy on a gurney that was out of his mind sitting next to us. We had to bring the custodian. The usher came down. I went up and got an usher, and the guy was he wouldn't shut up, yelling profanities. Gang member on meth, must have not even his tickets, whatever. He was in the third row, Dodger Stadium. We go up and the usher comes down, and he says to him very, very matter-of-factly, if you come down here again, I'll kill you. And the guy goes, okay, thank you. And he goes back to the concessions. And eventually the police didn't want to come down. So his girlfriend went to the bathroom. They seized her. And the guy went looking for his girlfriend. And they took him down. But the way they took him down at Dodger Stadium, not to create an incident, was they handcuffed him to the gurney, like a medical gurney. And they wheeled him into the elevator, down into the basement, where they have a prison cell down there for situations just like this at Dodger Stadium. And on the whole trip down, hysterically, he's yelling, "I'm going to come back and kill every one of you MFers. I'm going to kill you all." And they lowered the floor in the elevator down into the Dodger Stadium prison. It's the last we saw of him.
I love it. I love it. And let's start earning some money. I'm sure everybody would be just shocked to hear that we've been demonetized for a half hour. But anyway.
It's every week now. It's ridiculous. I don't even know what we talked about. Can we talk about stuff now if we're demonetized? I mean,
well, let's see if we might be able to get a review. I mean,
technical foul, number 23, Hunley, technical foul.
Well, let's just put it this way. They can also
after further review, we've decided to remove the entire video.
Yeah, or the entire channel is where they go to. Anyway, Sergeant Willie, Eric, look up Hurricane Iva, Hawaii, 1982.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
How can
we'll
I
come
set
back?
up
You know what? We're going to go look it up now and come back after we look it
up. Let me see. How can I set up a protest in Atlanta? Get a permit. Start with
a permit. Start with that and start doing it, bro. Get off your fat ass and do something. That being said, we're going to go to Montgomery, Alabama in a couple of weeks, right, Eric?
Yes, we are. And there's a link in the description, definitely on YouTube. It should be anywhere else. You can find information about that here. If you just want to look at it, erichunley.eventbrite.com. The meetup is still available. The VIP is sold out. But the meetup, we do have some. There's still some left. A few left.
What?
So hope to see you.
Wow.
Exatrends, you guys are righteous. Well, thank you. Neil Hirsch. Isn't the wildfire story purposely set fires, especially in Canada, in order to push fake climate story? Aren't due or HARP weapons being used? That's going kind of deep. I do know that there was that weird event with the Canadian wildfires where you could see that they simultaneously started at the same time. I'm not sure what happened. All I can say is it appeared that they were simultaneously started somehow. Cause anything else, I would never make a claim.
By the way, I think the jewelers in New York, like Harry Winston on Fifth Avenue, has a locking device. Harry Winston on Fifth Avenue, 57th Street, if he's still there, has a locking device in his the jewelry store, and I think the ones in Europe do too. Just
well, here you go.
What?
Rolex in Amsterdam.
Yeah, okay, there it is. Yeah. Oh, what a surprise! What a shock!
No shrinkage.
No shrinkage. What a shock! I think Harry Winston has it also in New York. I'm just saying to expand this program. And everybody's going, but they'll shoot everyone. No, bro, they're not shooting everyone. They use bear spray on the security guard, for Christ's sakes.
Well, and you could always, change it. You could just say, boom, and here's another shield between the cashier and them. So they're
no. They could be behind bulletproof glass. I mean, you can't even get detergent. You can't even get detergent in CVS anymore. It's behind bulletproof glass.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I had to buy some computer, dust cleaner. Can you even buy that in LA?
No. That's the same as buying heroin. It's so funny. You take these kids. I once made the mistake of taking kids from a rehab to go shopping for clothing. And they went into Staples, and the first thing they got was dust off. They took it back to the rehab, and they were all inhaling dust off high as a kite. A long time ago, I learned a valuable lesson. Don't let them get near the dust off.
Well, I was thinking about it because I went to the Walgreens we have nearby us, and I just walked right in, and it was sitting there. There was a row of them. I just picked one up, and I just walked over to the register. Oh, I don't know the brand, but, the computer spray. Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, it was completely accessible. I'm like, because I hear you can't buy razors.
Dude, every single thing is it. When you go, it's like they used to have a place in New York called Horn and Hard Art, and the sandwiches were all, and pies and everything were all behind plastic glass. And you put your money in, and you opened up. It was really cool. You opened up the little see-through plastic thing and took out your sandwich that you paid for on the side.
I found those. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's what we have. But that's what we have in LA now to buy anything. They take the pods from Tide, the detergent pods, and they eat them and get high. I mean, everything gets you high, Hunley. You got to remember that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't followed up on that, but
You got to follow, when you see something under lock and key. Let's see, it's because it could get you high or kill you, one or the other.
no, that makes sense. Sparty Mad. Across America, forest fires used to be very common, smaller in scale, and a necessity for the ecosystem. Absolutely right. True. Yep. And that's why you keep the underbrush down, and then the fires burn it out, but they're not strong enough to burn the trees around it. And
well, they would start backfires. They were these hotspot rangers. I was just at a site in Arizona, which I posted, where a bunch of them lost their lives. These heroes that they were the heroes that went in to fight forest fires. And I was in northern Arizona. They put up a monument to all the ones who had lost their lives, which I took photos of and I put up on Twitter, because that's an art and a profession and a first responder equal to the firemen that are in your city. I mean, it's quite a task and a science to how they deal with fires from spreading. And Eric pointed out, it's true. They will literally start backfires to prevent the spread of fires forward. There's a whole science to it. And that apparently has been lost. I don't know what happened to that science.
You know what's funny about it too is we're so worried about naturalism, and we always go on about the Native Americans. Well, guess what Native Americans would do? Start fires.
Oh yeah,
they know they've been doing that. I mean, they knew, or if the lightning would do it. I mean, it's very frustrating. The other part that's frustrating is they tend to find mystical creatures who are going to go extinct if there's any kind of logging or anything that goes on. That also is very helpful, especially when they're not pulling old growth trees, they're pulling younger trees. But no, hell no, there's some spotted owl or whatever. Now, ironically, there have been studies where the logging went through, and surprisingly, the population of this rare protected creature has grown.
Yeah. We hear about it's a crock of shit. Look, everybody knows it. Everybody knows that both sides. Everybody knows what's going on now. It's not the 70s or the 80s anymore. These things have been exposed. People now know why things are happening and why they're not happening. The question is, it's a Mexican standoff, and it doesn't involve Mexicans. It's an American standoff. We're standing off with each other. Both sides know the other side is onto them. And what happens now? I mean, what's going to happen down in Georgia? I don't know. What's going to happen in New York? I don't know. Florida, don't know. What I saw a show with the attorney, what's his name? The Dershowitz. And he was talking, he's got a book out, which I just got a hold of, called Get Trump. And he analyzes all 4 cases against Trump, showing how insane and unconstitutional and illegal all 4 cases are. He takes all 4. And he analyzes them in the new book called Get Trump. Welcome aboard. And he was on the show, and he's talking about what they really want to attempt to do, which is what they're doing is, and I didn't think about this, so it really opened my eyes. They are simultaneously synchronizing behind the scenes and scheduling one trial after another, and they're criminals, so he physically has to be there. So from January 3rd till the end, he is going to physically, and they don't care about the result. The DC one he'll be guilty in DC. The others, it's a crapshoot, Florida, New York, whatever. What they want to do is physically take him off the field to play in the Super Bowl. And that's what they're doing. They're taking Tom Brady off the field because they can't beat Tom Brady. Their internal polling, as Barris and Barnes have pointed out repeatedly in every demographic group, shows that they cannot beat Tom Brady, the greatest of all time in this particular era of whatever's going on in presidential politics. This guy pulled in 85 million votes, and according to Rich Barris, may have 110 million votes waiting to go in the next election. They've decided to do this defense. This is their defense. Their defense is to tie him up in court, physically in a courtroom, until from January to November. That's the game. That's the game. Now we know the game. What are we going to do about the game? That's the game. January 1st till November 24th, till November election day, November 7th. They're going to keep his ass in a courtroom with 4, maybe 5 cases coming up in the next month or so. This is what Dershowitz is saying. This is not me. This is Alan Dershowitz saying what the game is. So I didn't think like that. And I went, holy crap, he's right. Now that we know that game, what are we going to do? They're taking, this is election interference, which is what I keep saying. These people have to be indicted by other states whose elections are being interfered. These are federal elections that are going to go on, presidential elections. An attorney general has got to grow some balls, indict the people who are doing this, force them to come to your state. When they don't show up, you're going to have to physically arrest them. That's the game that we're up against. We need to get aggressive, people, and do something, not November 6th when the game is over. Today is when we got to do it. Today. By 5 o'clock.
And we also need McCarthy calling Jack Smith up every week in front of Congress. What are you reporting
now?
What are you doing here now?
That's not as effectual as arresting Jack Smith, okay?
Okay.
I am talking
something.
No. Again, let me keep hammering this. These people have to be physically arrested. I know it sounds draconian, but that's what it's going to take to stop the runaway freight train, folks. Getting a subpoena, they're just going to laugh their asses off. They don't care about showing up there. They really don't. It's not going to stop their plan. They have to physically be removed, like Tom Brady, having a guy who's a defensive back has to take out the quarterback. Okay, our defensive back has now got to take out their quarterback or star receiver by hitting them with a crossbody block. If that makes any kind of analogous sense to anybody in football. Okay.
Well, I don't know if a state attorney general is going to be able to go after Jack Smith, so it might work on the cross-state stuff.
No. Yes, he can.
Can he? Okay, yes, I haven't looked up the law on that.
You know how you can? Just do it. Remember that phrase? Just do it. I know. It sounds crazy, Hunley. I know it sounds crazy. Just do it.
All right, you know who said that phrase? You know who said it first?
Let the chips fall where they may, Hunley. Let's get it done, bro. Let's get it done. What are they going to do about it, Hunley? Arrest the guy who's the attorney general? Good. Let's go. Let's get it on.
Okay. Do you know who first said just do it?
I thought it was Nike, right? Oh, no, it was Gary
Gilmore. Yeah, Nike took it from him.
Gary Gilmore.
So
well, his brother Mikkel Gilmore, if you have to know the truth, was a writer for Rolling Stone, and he covered the execution of his own brother for Rolling Stone, which is kind of awkward because we're going to be covering the David Greenglass story, the brother of Ethel Rosenberg, and how David Greenglass was caught as an atom spy at Los Alamos and fingered his own sister and brother-in-law to go to the electric chair at Sing Sing. We're going to get into a similar situation there with David Greenglass, which is a story for another time. But
specifically Tuesday, being that other time.
Well, we're going to try for Tuesday. Let's see how good I do on this weekend because I'm not at home, so I'm in a cabin in the woods. I'm surrounded by bear, and I can't get out.
I thought you were underground and in a bunker.
I was, but now the elevated floor, which is what I recommend for Nordstrom's, to lower and raise the floor of Nordstrom's to capture the criminals, is something that we're trying right here in this undisclosed location.
All right, let me go through some Rumble rants really quickly. Escaped hamster. Were Baxter Ward and Jim Garrison in communication with each other?
That's a great question, and I'd have to look that up. It doesn't come to mind. Baxter Ward, of course, one of my heroes, the subject of my screenplay, RFK Must Die, that RFK Jr. has, and I believe he has given to his son, Bobby Kennedy III, who's a director, who made a film about Hunter Thompson and his run to be sheriff in Aspen, Colorado. Bobby III, that is the son of RFK Jr., the grandson of RFK. So the script that I wrote is a biopic essentially of Baxter Ward, the man that this guy, whoever said that, is referring to. Baxter Ward was the highest paid TV newsman for ABC News on television in Los Angeles, on the LA market, for many years, higher than Walter Cronkite, higher than the network news people. His salary was so enormous that because of his ratings that he had as a newscaster, he was paid according to the ratings, the highest paid newsman in the business at the time. He quits and becomes a county supervisor for the county of Los Angeles to pursue the assassination of RFK and in Los Angeles at the time, and the fact that Sirhan didn't do it is part of his quest. And he is the only man to ever bring to trial, in the way Jim Garrison did, a hearing about the assassination of RFK in Los Angeles in 1974.
Interesting. Are we going to be doing him as an episode?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to do Baxter Ward. Baxter Ward, incredible guy. Had OCD and loved trains. That's why there's trains in LA, is because of Baxter Ward.
All right. A Wolfer, in the spirit of Gumbasto, gave us $100 Rumble rant.
Is he referring to Gumbasto or no?
He's saying in the spirit of Gumbasto.
Really? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying that. Okay.
Oh, no, that's literally the comment, and I love seeing that. I don't even know. Gumbasto, Ron Pinta, maybe it is a Wolfer. Who knows? We're on the case. Someday we'll figure it out. I Care 22. Yes, Mark, Ewan McGregor's trip on motorcycle from bottom of South America to LA borders, documents through every country, absolutely revealing.
It was called The Motorcycle Diaries, I think he's referring to, or no? The movie, or?
I guess. Wasn't that shaken?
It wasn't a very good movie, but.
Okay. Let me see. We got you guys are really, really helpful, and I appreciate it deeply, especially being demonetized. Randy Johnson, just found you guys while studying Watergate. Your commentary on Liddy was so entertaining. I've been deep diving every other video. Mark delivers every time.
It's a funny thing about Liddy, because Liddy and Hunt get tied into the story from last week on Arthur Bremer, because Chuck Colson sends them to spread around McGovern campaign literature in the apartment that is rented by Bremer. But unfortunately, by the time they get there, half of the college is in there stealing stuff, because the landlady was charging $10 to get in after the FBI left the apartment wide open, didn't seal the apartment. So it's funny, because Liddy might have been part of that if it had succeeded.
Crazy. I've got a bunch of locals tips that are here too. Nadev Maver, can you ask Mark to unblock you? Mark, unblock him. Sorry. Nadev Maver. It's one of our locals peeps. Dean Morgan 87 said $20 tip. Glad to be part of this interweb thing of yours. Thank you.
Interweb.
Yep. Interweb. Gary W sent a $10 tip. Love you guys. We'll love you too. Edward Martin 387 said, give them plastic bags and zip ties. I think he's talking about in the stores.
The
grapes.
Employees or the
I guess. I'm not sure when it came in. Grape said, in my honest opinion, the parents of the students K-8 through kindergarten through 8th grade should hire their kids' teacher every year. Huey Newton. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's a quote.
Well, I mean, if you could make one draconian change in public schools to affect change right now, is to put a camera in every classroom. We have cameras in every elevator, in every bank, in every ATM, in every store, in every single place, hospitals, everywhere except the schools. The reason they're not.
Well, we did have it when we had the Zoom teaching. Remember, there were cameras in there, and all of a sudden the parents were starting to go, "What are you teaching them?" And then they were like, turn that off. Turn that off. I don't want parents to see it.
Okay, let me just continue. The security cameras that I'm talking about in the classroom should be mandatory in every classroom in America, because it's our most precious commodity are these children. And I'm not talking about catching them doing anything. The camera itself, the presence of the camera will stop the nonsense. Just the fact that they know they're being recorded. That'll stop everything right there. If you could do one thing, and that is to force your principal in your school to put cameras in that classroom for safety reasons or whatever reasons you can come up with. That will stop everything. And you can review it whenever you want. You don't have to catch them doing it. Their own fear will permeate them stopping their crap and their insane teachings, my opinion.
And I was just reinforcing that by saying that it happened during COVID, and parents finally saw something that was going on, and their response to it supported your claim.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
SO American sent a tip in. Give us a line or two on Roy Buchanan Blues' greatest guitarist, untold story of death in police custody.
I don't think he was the greatest blues guitarist of all time. I mean, among you could talk to the Stevie Ray Vaughan fans, of which I'm one, but I don't know what happened in police custody. I'm sure he was drunk and disorderly, and shit happens. Not really sure. Stevie Ray tragically was already sober when he died in a helicopter crash. A much sadder story that I think deserves an America's Untold Story.
F. Bukowicz, if you don't like the ban, I guess the ban on blocking, imagine what is edging to the leftist brains. Oh, God. Okay, doing. Sorry. They retyped it because I'm reading it. If you don't like the ban on blocking, imagine what it's doing to the leftist brains. Fair enough. But it's still a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Edward Martin said he's here. T-Burn 2. According to Manchester's book with JBK, JFK was, what? Castrated during an autopsy. Is this true? So, okay. Some of these I'm not even going to read if they're just that weird.
That's weird.
I'm sorry. That's extremely weird. Bed J, what about the crop infestation that's following the path of the Chinese balloon?
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know.
Huey Long, maybe Huey Long knows.
Sure, could be. Your boy Blue sent in a tip saying he was happy you called her see you next Tuesday, his second favorite word.
Hold on, that was hard to follow. Your boy Blue, see you next Tuesday. Okay.
No, you call somebody a four-letter C word. I tend
sorry.
to avoid saying
Okay. Right. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
Bob's McGooley sent in a tip. Joined yesterday. Gold Bond made me do it. Bighorn Shaver, Yiddish word of the day, and I can't read it.
Okay.
So I'm going to drop it in the comments and pull it up, and maybe you can tell me what the heck it's saying.
Okay.
Right. Hang on. I had to do it.
Okay. I have no idea. It's some random words. That's a sentence. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, I don't know how to do it. I'm lost. Locals, you guys you're killing me today here. Rich Brown sent in a tip. Love AUT. Is William Cooper on your show list?
Who's William Cooper?
Bill
the
Cooper.
barrel
Bill
maker?
Cooper.
The guy.
No. The guy in Arizona who was a radio. I think he had a radio show. Wound up being in a showdown with the FBI and died on his front porch. He appeared on Alex Jones a couple times. He's from the 90s. He was a UFO guy. He was in the UFO community, all that stuff. William something Cooper, or it's like three names, but they call him Bill Cooper.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. So probably not, because we don't know who he is. Ale House said cameras in classrooms and courtrooms. I agree. I totally agree with that. I would like to every trial always be because it's cheap. I mean, if you walk around stores everywhere, Walmart or anything else, there's cameras everywhere in there. Go both ways.
The point is, why don't they want them to be in there? Of course they're cheap, Eric. We know that, right? But the question is, what is it that they don't want you to see? That's the only question that should be asked. And I'll tell you something else. What's his name? Apparently interviewed Trump, and they put up some economic numbers this week. comparing Bush's administration, the Biden administration to Trump's administration. I don't know if you saw those economic numbers, gas prices, and all the different numbers, employment, everything else. And I said this earlier on. This guy should be running with one campaign bumper sticker. Forget about all the other verbiage. He's going to have to simplify this campaign because of obvious reasons. And why not just simply have a campaign that says, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Because that's what came to mind when I saw these economic numbers and relation from Biden to the other guy. Simply have a simple campaign. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago, people?
Yeah, and you can fit on a bumper sticker.
That's right. I mean, somebody used to do it, and it was very effective.
And sadly, the most effective slogans are the ones that you can fit on a bumper sticker because they're sticky and repeatable. John S., thanks for your hard work. Thank you very much. Malarkey, did Oswald knowingly participate in the, wow, that was interesting, JFK assassination? Was he oblivious, or did he likely have knowledge that it was going down? I don't believe personally he knew about it.
Did Oswald knowingly participate? No. Was he obvious? Was he oblivious?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, or did he likely have? No, I don't think he knew anything. I mean,
until he was grabbed and said, "I'm a patsy," then he probably got a clue. Then
most serious researchers believe he was oblivious to it.
All right. Biden's mere existence, continued existence, is giving the Grim Reaper a bad case of blue balls and the country a 4-year nightmare. Freddy Krueger envies.
That's funny. I just want to add that the limited hangout by the CIA in the past 15 years has been that Oswald was a participant among others. That's been a limited hangout, that he did not act alone. The did not act alone is a limited hangout that started about 10 to 15 years ago by the CIA. But he was involved.
Right, because that covers a lot of things.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. That's where that comes from. That started not too long ago. And again, the moving of the goalpost and another limited hangout by whoever was doing this evil.
What's clever?
Oh, I meant to add this other thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Read that if you want.
From ATX, please tell me again who killed Tippit. See you in November. I don't know if you'll see us in November, but
I don't know who killed Tippit. You tell me who killed Tippit. I don't know who killed Tippit. I thought my theory might be there was Crawford and Jack Ruby who killed Tippit, and that's as good as I can get because Ruby's apartment was very close by. There's a description of the two men. Crawford fled immediately. Following that, why Crawford would flee, as the Warren Commission has said to Crawford, why would you flee because of the assassination of the president? And he didn't know what to say because he didn't flee because of the assassination of the president. Why would he flee because JFK was killed? I think he fled because Tippit was killed and he was involved in the Tippit killing. I've always believed that. Hard to prove, but he later became a hitman, Crawford. You can see the episode that we have on Crawford, I think, right, Eric? Isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You could see the episode on Crawford and Tippit, but I think Crawford claims later to move to the Northwest and become a hitman for hire. So it's not crazy that him and Ruby were involved in this. I don't know the motivation completely behind the assassination of Tippit. But if you put in Ruby and Crawford into the killing, then it has some meaning. I don't know what the actual meaning is, but it has meaning per se. Whether that was to frame Oswald even further, I don't know.
Fair enough. That's a good question. Mark, have you gone to Green Valley Village yet to visit the paintings?
No, I have not. I will at some point. It's on my bucket list. It's on my bucket list. I'm going to try to apply. My scheme is to apply as a member and go through the questionnaire and everything.
Awesome hat, Mark. Enjoying Freeform Friday. Thanks. Thank you. Are we going to do Kissinger?
Nah, it's been done. It's too much.
Yeah, he seems pretty well covered by.
Yeah, the trial
Definitely.
of Henry Kissinger. There's been mock trials. He's been tried in absentia. I mean, there's quite a bit out there on Kissinger. We're trying to find more obscure crap than that, to do.
Thank you, Forrest Gump.
Stuff that hasn't been explored, like the Bremer thing. I think I have found, cross my fingers, part 1 of the Bremer diary down in Alabama, which we'll be pursuing when we go to Alabama. I think I found it at the University of Alabama, the part 1 of the diary.
And if we could scan it, that would be a nice locals exclusive.
Yeah, if we can get our hands on part 1, I like that. I like that.
We'll be sitting there holding a videotape and going, flip, 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 flip. It does it. Mark, you should replace Greg Gutfeld on Fox News.
I don't know what Gutfeld is. He professes to be an editor from Men's. Remember, he was like at Maxim or something originally.
Men's Health.
Men's Health. He was a regular straight editor. He was a straight editor, as they would say. A guy who just did editing as an editor for a magazine, and then somehow morphed into a stand-up comic, I guess. I'm not really sure what the deal is with the cat. He sits there with his own notes at times, and it's just some peccadillo I have against the guy. I mean, a lot of people like him. It's not me,
He's non-offensive. He's kind of somebody who'll make you smile. I mean, he's pleasant. He's not funny.
He makes me want to throw up.
Okay. Well, what do you think?
Oh, that's not bad. That's a good book. That's actually a good book. I was looking at it. I have it. I was looking at it because the book fund allows me to get Lone Star Speaks. It's an interesting book written by 2 women journalists, I think. Not a bad book.
All right. Jay agrees to bury these people under the jail. No mercy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
What does Barnes say? Never forgive, never forget, hold the line.
True. And now Pasha's going to lay into me because he has the one person who is totally legit that had to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there are some people who legitimately have to do that, but in general, Pasha, I will say in public when they're wearing a mask, it is a bit of a signal for most people, especially when they're not in bad shape. And I'm sorry for your sister.
Yeah, they did wear masks during the flu of 1918. Little good it did them.
Let me see. There's still so many super chats, dude.
Yeah, we gotta get them out there, I guess.
What we learned about the Republican congressional investigations was that they gave the criminals immunity before putting on the public spectacle.
Well, that's part of immunity. I mean, hopefully immunity is not abused to get those bigger fish. But again, I don't think this is like shooting an elephant with a pea shooter. I think we're way past that, where we're going to have them under oath or not under oath in a congressional hearing, people. I mean, we're in the middle of a war. This is beyond what we imagined ever to happen in the United States. Having these hearings, which is great, for in terms of judicial and executive action. But I think we have to start coming up with more inventive and more outside the box remedies to the situation.
Okay, I'm going to jump to locals just for a second. Ale House 20, cameras in classrooms and courtrooms, has already said that, sorry. Bighorn Shaver said that the Yiddish is "Don't let the bastards get you down."
Okay, all right. When we get down to Montgomery, we could talk together as groups and see if we can come up with some ideas, which is one of the reasons I wanted to have the meetup, not just to get drunk and eat fish. I did want to hear the people's ideas who, not what doesn't work. Don't come down there and tell me what doesn't work. Come down and tell me what does work so we can scheme and connive together. We'll probably all get arrested. I get you. Did you see the article I sent you about the IRS? They shot each other at the gun range in Arizona, I think. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw the article. I haven't looked into the details yet. I don't know if there was a weapons malfunction or.
Yeah. But there was also a list of what they bought, which I thought was interesting. I sent you a text of the actual purchases by the IRS. Looks like Zelensky's arming for a war with the Russians.
Yeah, I mean, million on $2.3 million on duty ammunition, $1.2 million on ballistic shields, plus another $1.3 million on various other gear for criminal investigation agents. Very non-transparent description. $474,000 in Smith & Wesson rifles. So you have a preference. $467,000 on duty tactical lighting. $463,000 on Beretta 1301 tactical shotguns. $354,000 on tactical gear bags. Hey, you got to have somewhere to store your equipment.
This is if you forgot to file a 1099, by the way. If it's something else, they go to another level. This is just the basic level on how to collect money if you didn't turn in your 1099.
Yep, $267,000 on ballistic helmets. But last and not least, they've got to feel safer still. $243,000 on body armor vests.
It's astounding. It really is bone-chilling, really bone-chilling stuff, man.
Armed accountants. What could be scarier?
What could be scarier than this? They're going to have calculators and Colt handguns. I mean, wow.
Let me see. Joe Pro. Navy Commander William Pitzer, they killed for videotape in the autopsy of JFK?
That's true. He's right. He's right about that. Yeah.
All right, this is another story we do probably need to talk about here, but what about the ALEC update?
I don't know. They leaked out the thing yesterday. I guess we both saw it that he is not above, that he could still be indicted. Why they leaked that out, I don't know. Maybe a reminder or maybe a foreshadowing of events to come, Eric.
Oh, it seems like they're considering it. They hired another check this out. Okay, they hired another forensic expert. Mm-hmm. So the FBI did the full report and they said, hey, this could not be fired without pulling the trigger. We tried every which way but Sunday. We even broke the damn thing trying it. So then the defense team came out and said, FBI broke it. It was broken. See, blah, 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 blah. And the prosecutor said, okay, well, we'll dismiss the charges. So then they hire another forensic expert who went out, bought all the new parts, reassembled the gun with new parts and said, hey, you have to pull the trigger. Because obviously the FBI saying they can't, it's kind of ludicrous. And this is one time that I do have to say, this is sort of screwed up. You are the assholes who dismissed these charges. So now you're going to turn this into another gun because you're creating, these are new parts. They're not the same parts. You said that the FBI report wasn't good enough for you. That's why you dismissed it. Now you're turning it into another gun and saying, oh, well, yeah, you know what? We can file the charges. It doesn't make sense.
At some point, you just have to turn it over to a jury of his peers and let them decide. If the evidence gets shredded in trial, the evidence gets shredded in trial. Did the grand jury indict him or did they not indict him? I mean, after a while, you just got to get out of the way and let the system work and turn it over to the prosecutor and the 85 Baldwin attorneys and let it go. You know, this is going on for the third year. I mean, we're entering year 3 on this thing. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. Totally agree. I mean, forget about which side you're on this thing. The fact that this is entering the 3rd year is the craziest case in America. I mean, what the hell is this case about? Either indict the guy or let it go and let's move on. And I say that for the other defendants as well.
No, she's going forward.
Right.
She's never wiggled away. No. Yeah. Poor Hannah is done.
Yeah.
You know, Hannah's goose is cooked. So, I mean, they're not stopping on her. Gary Fire, are you aware of St. John Hunt's documentary about his father, E. Howard Hunt?
I am aware that St. John Hunt was a heroin addict and needed money for heroin, and by his own admission. And I think his father helped him out with a book. And I don't take any word of it for truth because of the circumstances I just mentioned. And it may be true, but I can't, based on Hunt's, the son's heroin addiction and desperation for money, put much faith in a product that he came out with under the influence of heroin. So you didn't know that, did you? So now you do.
And you might have some experience, or you might have met a few addicts, so you
Yeah,
might know where they're not always reliable.
Right. And I think on Hunt's deathbed, if that was really the case, if that really did happen, maybe even Hunt was trying to help his own son.
Yeah, that makes sense. Bob Bennett wants to just want to thank you for your show and the issues you talk about. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. I'm not your buddy, guy. As a Canadian, I can confirm the RCMP have arrested arsonists.
Right. No, he's right. That's true. That is true.
Sure.
The left and Antifa have been caught in Canada. They've been caught in Germany doing this. They make no bones about it. And until I hear otherwise, I assume it's arson until somebody can prove to me that it's a lightning strike or other method, because this is what they're doing. I mean, the ones that happen in the Northwest, they quickly tried to spin it into homeless people as arsonists, but they turned out to be not so homeless and much more political than the cover-up tried to cover. Let me put it that way.
Fair enough. Rick Galinas, Rob Snyder was one of those bikers in the bar in the Bronx Tale, Mark.
Rob Snyder, really? Rob Snyder was one of the. They look pretty burly to me, but okay, could be.
Wow. The comedian?
I don't know. No, Rob Schneider, the guy from SNL, or
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't remember
Snyder,
that.
But
not John Snyder. Who was the one from Dukes of Hazzard?
John Schneider.
Right. Okay. It wasn't him. It was the little comedian, Rob Schneider.
Okay.
Could be. Look, anything's possible. I mean, people got to work.
It could have been an extra.
It could have been. Well, I mean, there's about I want to say like 20 bikers in that scene, so it'd be hard to tell. And this guy maybe he's in the credits. I don't know.
No, that's cool. What about John Wayne as a story? A Mason, CIA asset, and possibly gay.
Well, I can only tell you the story that Mark Rydell told me, the great director of the Cowboys, starring John Wayne. And his first picture, Mark Rydell, who did on Golden Pond, I think he won the most Oscars for that, and a bunch of other great movies. But his first movie was the Cowboys, and he goes out into the desert. And I remember the picture that roughly John Wayne and a bunch of kids have to get the cattle from point A to point B. So he gets up in the crane on day one, Mark Rydell, who fascinating director, goes back to television with Frankenheimer, president of the Actors Studio, and blah, blah, blah. But he gets up in the crane, his first movie, and he looks down below in the desert, and there's John Wayne directing the kids, the little kid cowboys in the movie, on where to stand and everything else. And from his megaphone, he says, "I am the director of this picture, Mr. Wayne." That's what he says. Okay. And John Wayne, he looks down, he's shaking everyone's hand, the grips, the AD, and he gets into his car and drives away. And that's the end of the movie. And he goes back and he's crying. His agent calls him. He's in Marina Del Rey. And his career's over. His agent says, "What the fuck did you do, Rydell? You ruined your career. You're dead in this town. You're never going to work in this town again." Phone rings and he goes, "Hello, this is John Wayne, my Rydell. Meet me at Dan Tana's," which is a bar on Sunset Boulevard. It's an old Hollywood haunt. Rydell drives to the bar. There's John Wayne drinking shots of bourbon at the bar. And Rydell is this little Jewish guy from the Bronx. And he goes in, and there's huge John Wayne, the Duke. And he says, he orders a beer for Rydell. And he says, "You got some set of balls on you, Rydell. Now let's go back and make ourselves a movie." And that's when they went back and shot. So I'll just throw that out there.
Wow, great story.
Thank you.
Sergeant Willie, they took Ken Paxton off the field. He's the
that's
one
right.
That wouldn't do it.
Okay, but that's why they're taking. How did they take him off the field? There's other AGs. Come on, let's go. Who's ever coming off the bench? Come on, there's another guy. It's a war, people. Come on, it's a war of attrition.
All right. Ronan, RNC, and all GOP leaders at every level need to fight back. Waiting is dumb.
Right. As I pointed out in another episode, both JFK and LBJ, for that matter, I don't know about so much about JFK, but LBJ and Nixon, as soon as, and I think Bush did this too, as soon as you take power, you put your biggest crony in charge of the DNC and RNCs. You can control the organizations. Trump did not do that. That's how this woman ended up there. Big blunder on his part.
Yeah, they definitely.
I don't think he had enough cronies. I think generally speaking, the guy did not have enough cronies, for Christ's sakes.
You know, he should put Bannon in charge of the DNC or something like that. Or, you know,
well, somebody.
Terrier.
I'm telling you, Joseph Kennedy insisted that RFK be the Attorney General of the United States. And to his embarrassment, they argued, the three of them, for days. And Joseph Kennedy won that argument with his son. And RFK became the Attorney General of the United States to watch his brother's back. They've since made that illegal, but you got to come as close as you humanly can to that in some of these positions to cover your rear flank so they don't get you. The fat guy and the hillbilly, that's my new movie. The fat guy and the hillbilly, Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr. My new movie, that's like Fat Boy and Little Boy, Fat Man and Little Boy. It's the fat guy and the hillbilly. Didn't cut it, and they undermined him as soon as they got in there. History is going to show that forever.
True. Remember, Mark, Rosie Greer couldn't save RFK.
Rosie Greer was not a professional bodyguard. Rosie Greer was a defensive lineman for the LA Rams. The expectation that Rosie Greer was a guy who's going to save you is insane. That's absolutely insane. He was a good body blocker. I mean, I guess he could have cleared out a crowd, but he's not going to stop a bullet unless it's shot right at him in the stomach. He did. That was not his job. There was a guy named Bill Barry. Bill Barry was a Kennedy bodyguard. He was an ex-FBI agent. He was the guy that was there, his personal bodyguard, if you want to know the truth. There's a cat named Bill Barry.
All right. Basil Beshkov, thank you very much. Hunter's business partner, Archer, called it the Biden brand that they were selling. Actually, the brand they were selling was the United States. Oof.
Well, the brand was the Biden brand. The product was the United States, to be a little bit more clear there. And we're going to have this guy on. Eric and I are going to interview this guy, Marco Polo, next week. And he is the leading expert on the Hunter Biden laptop. Viva had him on a couple of weeks ago or last week. And we're going to have him on. We're going to drill down into this freaking laptop and see what's in there when Polo comes on. That's not his real name. It's Greg Summerall. But he's part of the Marco Polo Foundation, which is a 501c dealing with just the laptop, apparently. So we're going to get into the weeds. He sent me some document. I haven't read it yet.
Remember, we got to ask him how he's going to fare with the IRS coming after him, because that's the new thing, is the IRS going after the 501cs. If there's anybody problematic, I don't know if I'd want to declare it. I'd want to be a for-profit. It's probably safer.
I don't think anybody's safe from the IRS based on the story we were just talking about. So 501c or anything else. I mean, they're armed to the teeth. I mean, it's insane. It's totally insane. Why don't you just give machine guns to the parking meter attendants? If your meter runs over, they machine gun you to death. I mean, where does this stop?
Well, it'll save time. Now, just because it's Fridays, and I with the on the camera idea. That's
a good sentence, just me. That's one of the greatest sentences. I appreciate the $9.99, but what is the deal? What is the deal with these things where the sentences you need the Enigma machine from World War II to take some of these sentences and decipher them? Go on, Eric. I'm sorry.
And that's part of why I stumble sometimes when I'm reading. It's a little hard, but I think what you're saying is the government already watches us. We should be able to watch them back. I totally agree.
Yes. Oh, right. You're talking about the cameras in the school and court, right?
Everywhere. Like the body cam with cops. I think that's good. It's helped. By the way, body cams for the police have not only helped people, but the police themselves. Because you get somebody saying, hey, the cops did this and this and this. And it's like, well, here's the body cam. No, that didn't happen.
Well, let me add another one. How about the doorbell?
Yeah.
How many crimes has the Ring doorbell solved? Camera on that doorbell. I mean, the police will now traditionally go to neighborhood homeowners to ask for the footage from the doorbell. Mm-hmm. But you can't get it in a courtroom and you can't get it in a classroom. Anywhere else on the earth, You could have a camera and you can have recording, but not there. The two most important places in American society, the courtroom and the classroom, cameras are banned. Think about what they're hiding, folks. Think about why they don't want them. Not how easy it is to put that in. We know that. Why won't they let them in? What are they trying to stop you from seeing? That's how you confront them. Not, this is a $6 item. That's not going to win the day. What's going to win the day is, what are you hiding, you scumbags? That's how you win the day.
Do you feel the military as a whole is for Dems? No.
Ooh, Hunley on top of that one. Go Hunley. I mean,
unless they've completely changed the military and the mindset. I know, the majority of people in the military in general kind of come from the South. It's just a cultural thing. And they tend to be more law and order oriented, to be fair. Now, there's obviously people in the military who are going to be leftists, fine. But the overall culture is not that way. Just the creeps at the top who are, promoted into it, sadly. Matthew West says, Jumbo lives. Yeah.
Jumbo live. Well, the people who lived off of Jumbo still live. That's for sure. That's why Jumbo has protection.
Let me see. American Stooge, love the show. Groubert seems kind of rude to Hunley at times. But
It's ridiculous.
It's
Would you stop it? I mean, dude, we talk all week long arguing. This is insane. You're interrupting Hunley. I'm not interrupting anybody. We both interrupt each other. For Christ's sakes. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, it is coming on 2 years. We're like siblings at this point.
Dude, we're just talking. I mean, these people are... This is not the nightly news, for Christ's sakes. It's two guys talking in a bar. You want your pre-recorded news? Go to one of those other fancy channels that have 2.5 million subs. Go see those shows. All
right. Hey, Eric and Mark, the people have the power.
They do, but they're not using it. So you got to get off your ass and use it. We really do. But... Vin Scully, the famous Dodger announcer, once famously said about Yasiel Puig, the great Cuban right fielder that the Dodgers had. He was a 5-tool player, and that means throwing and stealing and hitting with power, and he had all the 5 tools. And Vin Scully famously said, you can have all the tools in the toolbox and still not know how to use them. And that's what I'm saying to the people who are out there. You have the power. You may not know how to use it. It's time to figure out how to use that circular saw and go to work.
Great analogy. Lynn Bleckstein, I watched many of the JFK videos more than once, gleaning info I missed the first time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Some of the missing info is in the other videos. So so people ask me stuff, and I don't know how many they've seen or not seen. So I don't know how to answer some of these questions, because
some of the videos do bear more than one watch, because fire hose. Sometimes it's like a fire hose of information. It's like kind of have to go back and then hear it over to get the beats back, because there's a lot covered in a short time.
I don't even know what's in there, because to me it's just one bit. No, I don't think. In my mind, I don't think Clay Shaw, Wesley Buell Frey. It's all just one long, storyline for me. I mean, the episodes are episodic. They're focused on a particular thing, but there's a lot of overlaps, is I guess what I mean.
Well, and there are also a lot of concurrent episodes, and people, they're writing in, they're like, well, I need to know a watch order. And it's like, you can't have a watch order because it's simultaneous.
Right. There's no watch order because they overlap, is really the answer. I mean, when you're dealing with Clay Shaw and you learn that David Ferry was an investigator from Marcello and shows up in court for the Marcello case, which is happening simultaneously to the Garrison case. I mean, things overlap in these videos, so I can't just delineate it that way numerically, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot like in a book when you have like 10 characters and you have one chapter for this character, then you go to another, then you go back and the back. It's very difficult, but that's just the way we're breaking it down. My homie, Ellie Munoz, love you guys. Was Watergate a false flag to remove Nixon, and why? Cliff Notes version, please. And when are you getting Barnes back on?
Barnes will come on whenever he's not saving.
Let us know.
He's never. I don't care about letting us know. Whenever he's not saving the nation, because he's one guy who gets off his fat ass and does something every single hour of the day. I mean, we need more people like Barnes in this country and less armchair quarterbacks. Now, regarding Watergate, they did so many other dirty tricks. You got to understand. It's not just Watergate, folks. They were breaking into psychiatrist offices. They were doing dirty tricks, like we mentioned with the Jeffrey Dahmer, with the Arthur Bremer case, where they quickly got on the blower, and Coulson sends Liddy and Hunt to spread Democratic literature in Bremer's apartment. They were nonstop doing this. It wasn't just Watergate, people. They were involved in a lot of other things, justified from their point of view. Right. I mean, that's their point of view. They could justify it. But the illegality of the Nixon administration in terms of what they were doing was more than Watergate. Let me just put it that way.
Randy H., always a great show. Thanks. Thank you. K1, I always say K1 Fate. With Hollywood on strike, get LBJ project greenlit.
It's funny because the projects getting greenlit are the big directors who just have muscle to get the stuff greenlit. I think Michael Mann just got greenlit on some Ferrari movie, and it's really a sham and a scam. You know, the strike keeps getting caveats where they could just get a pass from the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild to make their movie. I don't remember that from the first strike. It was a complete shutout in the first strike. This one, they just keep giving passes to different projects so they can work. Kind of undermines the operation, I think.
You know, it almost feels like what happened with COVID. You know, like with COVID, Home Depot was important. Walmart was important. Right. But your mom and pop hardware store, aka your independent movie, it's almost like, oh, let's just get rid of all these low-level people and just clear the decks. And now, it's just us, just their big-ass, fat and dumb people. Do a deep dive on the Bohemian Club and the Grove. Alex Jones did that with John Ronson.
Yeah, that's been done. That's been
done. Mark needs to get laid.
What?
Awful grumpy.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm laughing half the show. Go fuck yourself, Mark's grumpy. The whole country's falling apart. What do you want? A fucking juggling act to come out here, bro? Give me a break.
Let me see. Thank you for answering my question. I've been looking for an answer for years. Love your show.
Wait. What was this question?
I have no idea, but you're welcome.
Oh, you mean in the jibber jab in the conversation? Maybe we answered it.
Well, maybe, or I don't even know. Please do a deep dive with John Paul Stapp. His book is Sonic Wind. He invented and rode the rocket sled.
Dude, there's three things that are so great in that. The guy's name that I never heard of, the rocket sled, and then this book. I mean, there's three different things there. And the rocket sled ended up doing what exactly? What did the rocket sled do?
I don't know. Is that like a land speed record or something?
No, I don't know. What is the rocket sled? Like, how has that influenced our culture as Americans, the rocket sled? Because I don't have a rocket sled. Hunley doesn't have a rocket sled. I don't know anybody in the comments who's got a rocket sled.
Yep. Not sure. Let me see. President Ike warned us all we can do is watch Rome burn.
I thought it said Roseanne Barr. But it says Rome burn. I'm sorry. It was very small. I swear to God. I thought it said Roseanne Barr.
Right. Thank you. Best factual program I've watched by far. Thank you.
Mighty Quinn, $2 or £2 for the Mighty Quinn.
Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah, the pink. What is that thing? Pinky and the Brain. I remember that. That was kind of funny.
It's a cartoon, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember like they had Dick Tracy he had enemies. Dick Tracy. In the cartoon, Gay Paris and the Mole. I always liked that. Those were two of the enemies of Dick Tracy.
Okay. Brian Moyer on Locals. Here we go. Something about info about CIA, MIC, military involvement with the JFK assassination. Where does this all go if Trump or RFK Jr. become president? Okay. I'm guessing document release question.
Yeah.
I have no idea. because Trump was supposed to do it. He didn't do it before. He says he'll do it now.
I'll just add this.
See.
He talked about it with Tucker, but he went and had dinner with Mike Pompeo, RFK Jr., which is really strange. And he said it was really strange talking to Mike Pompeo, who ran the CIA that killed his uncle and his father, as he believes. And Pompeo said to him, his only regret is, as Pompeo, as head of the CIA, he said the top upper echelons of the CIA are the most anti-democratic fascistic forces he's ever encountered. This is from Pompeo to RFK Jr. And he regrets not removing them from the CIA as director. Okay. That being said, that's weird. So Tucker responded, and I really recommend we go find the interview that he just did, the long form interview with RFK Jr. Tucker said that the day after that Tucker released the famous show that Tucker did, after watching 172 episodes of America's Untold Stories, he released that a source had told him that he had read documents that were still retained that the CIA had killed JFK. This was Tucker's complete 180, that he admitted he did a complete 180 on the Kennedy assassination, and now said that a source of his had read the documents and told him that the CIA indeed had killed JFK. Now, Eric and I, we talked about it at the time, believed that it was his father who had been the source. This was still my belief. We did an episode on Dick Carlson that I highly recommend if people want to understand the Carlson family. I believe Dick Carlson was that source. But nevertheless, he gets a call the next day from Pompeo's office, threatening a text and call, saying that whoever told him that was committing a felony by revealing the contents of the documents that was still retained by the CIA. And Tucker thought that was quite ironic, that he was aiding and abetting a felony from an organization that committed murder of a chief of state, yet they were worried about a felony for that person telling Tucker the substance of the docs. That was also in the interview. Precious stuff.
Well, one thing to note on that, I'm trying to remember the agent. I interviewed a CIA officer a while back who was not in the upper echelon, and we got in a fight in the interview, or a bit of an argument, because I stated that he worked for us, and he explicitly said, "No, we don't work for you." Well, and this is from the perspective of the CIA officer, if you will, a guy who's a counterintelligence guy who actually did the on the ground stuff. No, he doesn't report to us.
Keep in mind, many of their overseas contacts and agents and subcontractors do not work for us, and they're not American citizens. What Pompeo was talking about was the upper echelon leadership of both the FBI and the CIA being the most anti-democratic forces he'd ever encountered. But maybe the guy that you interviewed, just to give him the benefit of the doubt, might have been referring to his overseas CIA people.
No, he was not. His name's Andrew Bustamante. He is a U.S. citizen. He works for the United States government as a CIA officer. He is not an informant or anything.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm saying the thousands and thousands of employees that the CIA employs are not even from the United States.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
But yeah, I'm saying he is speaking in terms of an actual CIA citizen officer.
Okay.
No.
Well, I don't know. It's a different story. All right.
Pasha Moyer, autocorrect is my enema.
That's funny.
Okay. Love you, gentlemen. Thank you so much from S.E. Gittins. Well, love you too. Thank you very much.
Look at the cat's ears. Look how cute that cat is. Oh, yeah, wait, what happened to the Bolsheviks? There was something
I was looking at the cat ears.
Oh, no, cat ears. She's I think it's a woman. I think. Well, she says.
Well, Essie is a cat. I don't know. It's a cute cat. Nice ears. The Bolsheviks run America now.
Not completely, my friends. Not completely. It's not over till we say it's over. As to quote Animal House, not to be confused with National Lampoon's Vacations, written by the great John Hughes. It's not over till we say it's over.
Fair enough. Here is another bumper sticker, I guess. How about say no to Joe?
A good one. I mean, again, it doesn't go to the heart of the matter. And if you just simply say, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Anyone who says they are, needs to be put in a straitjacket and taken away. Most rational people on both sides will say, no, I'm not. And there, in essence, is your campaign slogan.
All right. Suggest a show with podcaster Phil Lee from YouTube. He might make a good third wheel.
I got trouble with this wheel. We don't need third. We can't even do two wheels. A third wheel we should have, right? I mean, come on.
Let me see. Mark's next book, Meanie, Groubert, and Nice Hunley.
Oh, okay. Would you stop? Come on. Would you stop already? Jesus Christ.
Let me see.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I got to point this out. It's a great question. Go ahead, Emily. I'm sorry. Just read it.
Thoughts of RFK Jr. not getting Secret Service protection?
Okay. I didn't understand this. RFK Jr. explained this. He was rejected, as most people know, for Secret Service protection. And people pontificated that they want him to die. It's a dog whistle, which is all true. It's all true. But RFK Jr. himself explained it to Tucker. His opinion is, and his take on it is, they want to bleed him dry financially because it costs him $200,000 to $300,000 a month in security if they don't give him the free Secret Service protection that he deserves. He now has to pay out of pocket. He believes that this order came directly from the DNC. This is him saying it, not me, people. His interpretation of the rejection of Secret Service protection. Now, keep in mind, LBJ famously ordered protection for all the other candidates after he killed his father, because I believe LBJ said to everyone that he could ever talk to that I'm going to kill his father. So that's usually, a sign when you say you're going to kill someone and they're killed. I'd go to that guy who said he's going to kill him, which LBJ did. But that being said, he is under the impression that they want to make his campaign bankrupt by forcing him with Gavin DeBecker, who is the head of his security. It cost them, according to him, $200,000 to $300,000 a month in complete security, which involves hotel rooms, involves travel, involves all of the things that go for free when you get the Secret Service. Not free, it's not free. The people pay
taxpayer funded, yeah,
taxpayer funded, as opposed to him taking it out of his campaign treasury month by month by month by month. So every month the DNC, this is him saying it to Tucker, every month the DNC can force him to go out of pocket for $200,000 to $300,000 is a victory for Joe Biden.
And well done, dirty pull.
Right. I mean, he's obviously got security. So I don't think that he's in mortal danger because of that. Their move is financial. It shows you how draconian, how winner take all, how blood goal they have of winning at all costs that the other side does not have. They play this game as it's a war, and the other side plays it like with the rules of the court of King Arthur.
No, like a country club.
Yeah,
country club Republicans, like a golf course. Yeah, they're playing it like a golf match, and it's like, well, that's a nice shot.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful shot.
I Care 22 Rumble Rant. Mark, borders are from the south tip of South America to LA. It was not a movie, a documentary, very revealing. Maybe you're not a motorcycle fan. Have you watched the documentary?
Yes, I have seen the documentary.
Okay.
I've seen Motorcycle Diary. I don't know what the guy's saying.
I'm not sure.
I
Bob,
understand that.
1961, another great show, guys. Rumble Rant. Thank you. I Heart PG. I'm planning on sending more. Did you see the LBJ Ranch photos on Twitter? I love when Mark talks in all caps.
He talked in all caps? I don't know.
I'm not sure. But then we've got a $100 Rumble Rant from Cousin Eddie. Love the channel. First time Rumble Rant.
Wow.
There's a new song out that will be the populist anthem. Anthony Oliver's Richmond, North of Richmond. Please give it a listen. Definitely have. Very, very well done song.
Dude, it's
Mark,
so funny because the populists are embracing the song, but it's so funny because there was some Democratic congressman who said, "We must begin to understand the cry of these people," or something to that effect. Like, in other words, they're taking our message, is what this Democratic congressman was talking about with that particular song by that guy. And another group came out called the National Review, a magazine that people used to read, denouncing the artist and his lyrics as being indecipherable and of little meaning. And I thought, how prophetic for the National Review to come out and misunderstand a populist singer-songwriter like that. How appropriate.
Yeah,
tip of the hat to Rich Lowry.
Well, and I love the fact that they're immediately just saying, "Oh, he's a conservative." He's like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." Mm-hmm. He's totally a populist. So it's not like a left-right thing at all. Yeah, right, he's literally just saying, "Hey, we're hurting here." Mm-hmm. But let me see. Basil Bashkov, any plans for a remake of Weekend at Biden's?
Yeah, we've referred to, thanks, Basil. We've referred to this a number of times where, I mean, this could be Dianne Feinstein. Who's the star of this movie? It could be a bunch of the Senate Majority Leader could be the star of this movie. You know, Mitch McConnell. We don't know who. It could be all three in Weekend at Bernie's 3. We don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Wilkinson, love you guys from a snooty limey. Well, we love you too.
I love limeys. I love these limeys. They're so They're so fucking combative. You know what I mean? It's like their country's falling apart. It's become a third world nation police state. Not that we're any better, but they're watching us. We're like, what do you want from us, bro? We got our own problems over here. You got problems. We got problems. I mean, that country is completely a police state at this point. You know, so is Canada. I mean, we're just a bigger. The difference between us, and everybody knows this, the difference between us and Australia and Britain and Canada is guns. That's the difference, is the freaking guns. And they're going to do everything they can to strip us of those guns. Then we become Australia or Canada or UK.
Yeah, that's why we have the Second Amendment to hold up the First Amendment.
Hello.
I'm buying a rocket sled. Thanks for the tip.
I'm going on eBay after the show to get that rocket sled. Whatever the show's about, it's going to be Rocket Sled Week at my house.
Right.
Well, everybody dreamed of the jetpack. You know, when I don't know which episode it was, Thunderball with and James Bond had a rocket jetpack. I mean, everybody loved it. They still haven't figured out how to use this goddamn thing. It burns 9 billion gallons of gas for a 5-minute ride. But other than that,
the only time they figure out a way to do it, but only without jet, they could do it with water. Like if you're over the ocean and an unlimited supply, you can spray and kind of fly along doing that. But yeah, the fuel runs out too damn quickly.
I know.
Mark, your knowledge is like a supercomputer.
It's just I don't have a short-term memory. I just have a long-term memory. I can't remember where the hell I am now. The long-term, I don't know how this works. Maybe Dr. Drew can explain it, or somebody, or Jordan Peterson. But the long-term seems to get stronger, and the short-term gets weaker. If that makes any sense to anybody at home.
I think it's like a window.
Yes, or it just bleeds over into the long-term. It's like just goes across the membranes, and I love saying the word membrane.
All right, well, here we go. More info. The rocket sled was designed to see how many G's a human body could stand. Air Force pilots were dying in crashes that could be survived. John Paul Stapp was the medical officer who rode the sled. Okay, thank you. Tosh Quinn again. Tosh from Scotland, UK.
Hootman.
Guys, great show. Mark, your mind on these topics is astounding.
One of my favorite episodes of SNL was a guy I know, Dan Aykroyd, playing a Scottish guy in a kilt who had a store in a shopping mall that only sold Scotch tape. And the kids from the neighborhood would drag other kids into the store to see Dan Aykroyd playing a Scotsman in a kilt, selling only Scotch tape, only one product in the whole store. Thank you for your super chat.
Yes, thank you very much. And by the way, this is the last super chat. Oswald standing by.
Last call. I just got to stop it, Hunley. I got to put out a last call for super chats. You sitting over there in your chair. This is it, you fat bastard. If you want to put in a super chat, you got to do it now. You, honey, who's knitting a chicken over there in your backyard, now's your chance to either subscribe or give Hunley a super chat. Don't come crying to Hunley that the show ended and then all of a sudden you got off your ass and gave a super chat. Either do it now or forever hold your peace. You could subscribe, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah, please subscribe and tell a friend to subscribe too. That would be very, very helpful. We're on the cusp here. We're about to cross 95,000.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go on. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know if we have crossed it yet, but we're like a 94, 950. 50 more to cross 95,000.
There with a group of 5,000 people, if you're sitting there in a stadium or an amphitheater and there's 5,000 people with you, if you can get them all to subscribe before the event is over, that would be helpful.
We appreciate it.
Or a small regiment. You might have a military regiment. I'm not sure. Where else would 5,000 people be, Hunley, together?
True. This is a good bumper sticker for the independents. Vote for Trump.
That's
no
funny.
one has to know.
That's funny. That's funny. That's a good one.
I like that one.
That's funny.
Chris Wilkinson.
That's the same. Is that the same guy? Right, this is last call, people. Again, I'm talking to you. Get up, do what you got to do, or forever hold your money. Last call. This is it. Order your gin and tonics, your beers, whatever you got to order, your super chat, your last call, locals, whatever's going on in that Rumble Jew-hating channel over there. Now's the time to send in your money.
All right, Rogue Thunder sent in a $10 tip for the last locals tip. If I had a rocket launcher, I would make somebody pay. Take this, brothers. May it serve you well.
With a rocket, dude, you could do a lot of damage with a rocket launcher. You know, the episode we covered on LeMay, there was information in the episode which I didn't reveal. It didn't have much to do with it, but the entire military was looking for petroleum-based incendiary devices, and the flamethrower comes out of that, Eric. And the flamethrower is part of their people are coming up with inventions trying to sell it to the military involving incendiary devices. And the flamethrower was one that they used in the caves against the Japanese, right? Oh, and and the tank had the flamethrower too. They had that flamethrower. So all of these were stuff that was invented just because of this particular war. I wish I had that, a flamethrower.
Yes, flamethrowers, very, very handy tools.
I wish I had a flamethrower.
And Basil, last word. You've been very generous this whole show. It fits. Hello, Oswald. Perfect final thing. So on that note, we have coming up Tuesday another show. We don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It depends on the book fund, how strong the book fund donations come in. There's some books I got to get. I don't know if I can get them by Tuesday. But the following week, I think when do we go to Montgomery?
Week after. Well,
it's coming up, right? I mean, yeah. What's today?
Today's the 17th.
Holy cow!
Yeah, the following week, I'm going to be driving down there later in the week. Next week will be busy too. Anyway, very, very interesting. But either way, if you're on locals, which we definitely appreciate, we're always trying to put things there. I've got to download Mark's radio appearance. You were on the radio yesterday, right?
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
I've got to get
somehow
that.
Pulled that off. I don't know. These technical wizardry of doing these analog things. It's
yeah, for sure.
Not easy.
Anyway, I try to make it a point of always putting that up on locals, usually Saturday morning or Saturday sometime. Mark's radio appearance will be there. It's free for anybody who just follows us on locals. You don't have to be a paid supporter to check it out. I just trim it out. Anybody can do it. It helps out a lot if you do follow us there. And part of the reason is, like, we're demonetized here on YouTube. Who knows what can happen? We could get locked. Something could happen. There could be a strike. This allows me to put out an email to everybody on locals, tell people what's going on, where you can find us, what we're doing. Helps a lot. You don't have to pay to follow us. It is free.
You can follow me at Lord Buckley and not get blocked anymore, right, Hunley? I mean, now you could.
Yeah, it looks like it now.
You can or make donations to Venmo or PayPal for the JFK Book Fund, or there's also some other things we have down there, right, Eric? We have some links
We
to
have
different things.
PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. You could buy Mark's book.
There's
Nation is down there.
This guy, the Marco Polo guy, is reading my book, I think, because of Hunter Biden's addiction. So we may be getting into a little bit more about the actual crack addiction of Hunter Biden. Of Hunter Biden. I think he wants to talk about that.
I think that's good because, in my personal opinion, my issues with Hunter Biden are not his addictions. My issues are the corruption and the graft and the pay for play. I feel bad about his addiction. That's a completely different story. And I like seeing that.
He may have been selected for this particular role because of the addiction.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, to have a compromised cat who's got all kinds of troubles to be the front man. Put it this way: he didn't pick Beau Biden; he picked Hunter Biden.
And right? I've had a security clearance before.
Yeah.
Guess what questions they want to know?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you do drugs? Do you have?
Well, he get kicked out of the Navy. He got kicked out of the Navy for cocaine abuse.
Yeah, he did. So,
okay. Well, we'll get into that.
All right. And again, on Locals, I'll have a grill stream tomorrow. That's where I just hang out, talk to people. If you want to come by and check it out.
Oh, Hunley, I have a grill here. I just used one of those propane grills last night. It was a lot of fun. It looked like the Hunley grill. And this big giant one with knobs and gas jets and everything. Holy crap. It cooked the chicken in 5 minutes.
Did you have a laser show on yours?
No, I don't have a laser show. Do I have to get a laser?
Amateur. No. I'll see you.
Look, anything I put barbecue sauce on and cook is a gift to me. That's all I can tell you.
See you Tuesday.